Facebook. Welcome to another Friday evening. Mark Stubblefield and GOTV, Brother Christopher Jones, Pastor Bussy, Evangelist Yvette King. They're all coming as the room and the doors are now open. Tonight's topic is going to be Black Girl Magic, and I'm just going to get right into it. Let's start off with a moment of prayer. Father, our God, we thank you. We thank you, Father God, for just another day. This is the day you have made, and we're rejoicing and being glad in it. We thank you simply, Father God, for just giving us just another chance to just share in your will and your way. And then, Father God, as we go into this segment of GOTV tonight, Father God, we ask that you guard our tongues, guard our hearts, guard our minds. And then most importantly, Father God, let us speak those things that come from you. And then, Father God, after it's all said and done, you get glory, you get honor, you get the praise, because it's truly in your Son, Jesus' name, we offer up this prayer in faith, believing it done. And we say, amen and amen and amen. Yes, this is Go TV. Well, tonight's topic is going to be, you got it, Black Girl Magic. Black Girl Magic. So when we talk about Black Girl Magic, we're going to show you about a 10-minute video to kind of get you acclimated to the whole concept of what Black Girl Magic is. And as we get into it, we want you to just be open and have your heart open and your mind open in reference to what Black Girl Magic is and how important our Black girls are to us. So I just want to celebrate our sisters tonight. So let's go into it.
And this is the kind of story we should hear about. But no one listens to the stories of Black women.
We're experiencing a few technical difficulties. Please stand by. We're experiencing a few technical difficulties. Lord Bishop.
Hey, I can't barely get you because I can't get it on my computer. I can't come up with the restream. There's is it a link to that thing or something like that?
Well, you're in. I'm looking right at you.
Yeah, but I can't hardly see you. I'm on
I
my
don't have
phone.
my picture up right now. See?
No, what I'm saying, I'm on my phone. I can't. I'm trying to get on my computer. Is there some type of way you can get on the computer?
Yeah. You just use that same link.
So just use the same link and get on. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me do that then. Let me log off. Come on the computer.
Okay, cool. So once again, everybody, we are experiencing a few technical issues, but we're going to have it together in just a little while. So hang in there. This is GOTV Friday night. Mark Stubblefield, Christopher Jones.
The man in this illustration to the right is J. Marion Sims, otherwise known as the father of gynecology. He's praised for the medical strides he made in the 1800s. He's so well renowned that he was the first physician to have a statue
And once again,
erected in his honor
we're having
in the
these
United
technical
States.
issues, but let's see if we can get as much
Yet
of this in
Sims
as
is no
possible.
better than the Nazi medical experimenters in the Holocaust that we hear about every year. You see, Sims would purchase slaves for his medical studies. Their bodies were nothing more than experiments. The reason? Sims believed that upper-class white women were the most vulnerable to pain, so they couldn't endure his experiments without anesthesia in the way that black women could. The woman in this illustration is Anarcha. You don't know her. After being in labor for 3 days, Sims was called in to help deliver her baby. Although admitting that he didn't have skill using the tool, Sims placed forceps on the impacted fetus's head. There are no records of the baby's survival. And Anarcha had 30 procedures performed on her by Sims, none using anesthesia. You hear of women like Kim Kardashian who are praised for loving their bodies and their curves, but you don't know this woman. Sarki Sarah Bartman was paraded around Europe in the 1800s in a freak show. She was named Hottentot Venus and was a circus freak due to her large breasts, wide hips, and large buttocks. They believed that because she didn't look like a white woman, she could not be human. And this justified her inhumane treatment. After spending 5 years in the circus and no longer being wanted, Bartman was forced into a life of prostitution. And in 1815, she died at the age of 26. And you would think this is where her story ended. But Bartman had her brain, skeleton, and sexual organs removed from her body. It was until 1974 that you can go to a museum in Paris, France, and see her brain, skeleton, and sexual organs. In 2002, Sarah Bartman's body was finally laid to rest. That's only 14 years ago. I want to take this time to discuss intersectionality. It's a term that was coined by Kimberly Crenshaw in a 1989 essay. It describes how discrimination converges at an intersection based on an individual's multiple identities. For Black women, our experience is the totality of our identities. There aren't some days that we wake up just Black and other days that we wake up just a woman. And history has shown that womanhood can be defined in terms of Black and white. You may know Ida B. Wells and her contributions to journalism, but there's a story you haven't heard. While traveling, Wells purchased a first-class ladies' train car ticket. When she arrived at her train, she was asked to move to the smoker's car. At that time, the smoker's car was known for having loud and rambunctious men committing lewd acts, smoking, and gambling. Wells had purchased that first-class ladies' train car ticket because she could afford first class, and she was indeed a lady. But when she arrived at her train, she was asked to move. The reason? She was a Black lady. When Wells refused to leave her train and go to the smoker's car, she was forcibly removed. Later, Wells went on to sue the railroad company and won a $500 settlement. But that decision was later overturned by a Tennessee Supreme Court. So I ask, Who keeps our stories? Who tells the world that we're not circus freaks? That we're not experiments but women? That our black womanhood is just as valuable as white womanhood? We are more than the mammy, the matriarch, the sapphire, Jezebel, and welfare queen that the media portrays us as. In 2013, Kashawn Thompson told the world that black girls are magic, and black girl magic was born. Black girl magic is a term that describes the universal awesomeness of black women and celebrates anything that we deem dope, inspiring, and mind-blowing. So here's some black girl magic. Shirley Chisholm, after being elected the first black woman to Congress, ran for president in the 1970s. She once said, "You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas." Her words are magical. Black women enrolled in college at the highest rates amongst any race and gender, with about half of black women ages 18 to 24 being in college. And we are amongst the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. Bree Newsom climbing this pole to take down the Confederate flag at a state house in South Carolina is black girl magic. The oldest living human on record is a black woman. Susanna Jones is 116 years old. The magic is that she's turning back the hands of time. Her hair, which was once gray, is now growing in brown. The three creators of the Black Lives Matter movement, magical. Harriet Tubman, one day being on your $20 bill, black girl magic. And then there's Michelle Obama, no explanation necessary. I owe all that I am to the black girl magic in my life. Women with melanin skin, curves, kinks, and coils in their hair. They're all strong, powerful, and dynamic. To my magical grandmother, who raised 10 children, and who taught me to never feel sorry for myself. To my mother, who encouraged me to live my life out loud. And even when she was afraid to use her own voice, encouraged me to use mine. And then there's me, standing in this space in front of all of you, celebrating the stories of black women. This is a black girl magic moment, and it feels good. My name is Kendra Thomas, and I'm magical. Thank you.
Black girl magic defined. What say you? Welcome, Evangelist. How are you, sister?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
All right. Did that inspire you?
Yes, it did. It really did. It inspired me to continue missions that I've been assigned.
Yeah, you got some assignments to complete. You
Oh,
definitely do.
yeah.
But I just wanted to kind of just take this moment on a Friday during Advent to kind of just lift up our sisters because we hear so much about what they can't do or what they have just turned their back on. But remember, I talked about this illustration of there was this one sister I talked to, well, not talked to, I'd actually listened to, and she was talking about she was about to give birth to a baby, but the baby died in her womb. And
Yes.
in the baby dying in her womb, they couldn't just do a C-section and just cut the baby out. So her doctors advised her that she had to carry this dead fetus in her body, but she believed beyond belief that God was going to carry her through and have her give birth to a baby that had already died. So she just believed that, well, the doctors don't know what they talk about, anything like that. But when 9 months came and it was time for the baby to be delivered, the baby was delivered and the baby was dead already. And from that, she was a little depressed, but she found hope when she looked up to God and said to God, Lord, help me understand, why did I have to be chosen to go through this? And her explanation, she heard from God, and this is what she said she heard from God. She said, well, you have a wound. Men don't carry wounds. You have this wound because you can carry the load. That's why I'm talking about Black Girl Magic today, because Black women have this innate ability to carry the load when nobody else can. That's why we're talking about Black Girl Magic on a Friday night doing Advent season. That's why we're talking about it. So we got the good bishop in the room. How you hearing us? Check one, check two.
Well, I can hear you. Can't hardly see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, 10-4, copy that. So when we're talking about Black Girl Magic, let's talk about the meaning of it, because she talked about it in her TED talk, what the meaning of Black Girl Magic was, and how the hashtag started, and how you can get some of this Black Girl Magic. And I'm gonna ask Yvette to kind of give you a clue of how she got her Black Girl Magic, how you get your Black Girl Magic working.
Well, I can't, I never, you never really believe that you have the Black Girl Magic, but being raised by a mother of 13 children, and 10 of those girls are women. So the thing is, a lot of times in my life, I always wanted to say, let me go crawl under a rock or quit or something like that. If sometime if my mother didn't have the right answer, there was other women in my life that said, no, you're going to go back, you're going to go do what you need to do, and you're going to fight this out. You're going to finish this assignment that you're going to finish. So it wasn't basically saying finish, but no, turn around and go back and fight, And so those are just, we have that innate ability to want to give up, but somehow we have so many people depending on us, looking at us, thinking of us, and admiring us from afar, and we don't even realize they admire us. You'd be like, okay, I'm struggling, I'm doing this, I don't think everything is going right, but you keep on doing it, and you just say, okay, I'm going to keep on going no matter what happened. I'm gonna finish this task. If I look at early stages of my career at CTA, I was ready to quit. I was ready to give up and go back. Go back. I don't care. I told my father, you got a lot. I've been privileged to have a father almost 50 years of my life, so it's really a blessing. So he was that pinnacle of that Black Girl Magic. Listen, what do you need? What do you need? Do you need $10 to make your magic happen? Do you need this? And he would turn around. No, this is what people want you to do, is quit. You're not going to quit on my watch. So a lot of times I had a lot of people on my watch telling me, no, you can't quit. And that kind of boosts you to say, okay, keep on going. You don't think you can get down that stream. And then not only that, you have to have God in your corner, because if he's not there, sometimes you don't even know he's there, but he's pushing you that envelope for you and things like that. So I didn't really know. I knew he was there, but I didn't know he was actually there until later in my life. But the Black Girl Magic came from sisters pushing me. If my mother was too tired to take on a task with me or help me, then there was another sister. So sometimes you may have sisters in the community, people that's watching you, and you be like, okay, I gotta get up. I gotta put my bootstraps on. I gotta strap these boots up. I gotta get going. I gotta tread through this snow. I gotta tread through this rain. So that sometimes you just say, okay, you don't think it's gonna wind up being anything. You just know that you gotta keep on going. From even with CTA, I didn't know I didn't think of it as a career. One day I said, you know what? I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. And then once you start saying you want to do something and you really put in that effort to just finish that task, that's all it's about, is finishing a task and getting that task done. And when you finish tasks, the magic is happening right there before your eyes. You be like, oh, wow, I done this. I done completed this. I done completed that. So the thing is, now you as a sister, you try to push every female. And that's my take on it. And another step in my life is when I realized another thing. I saw the first female manager, Miss Phyllis Montgomery. I saw that woman. I said, oh, I could do that too. So you know, I was like, she came in there with that little suit on. She was cute. I was like, oh, look at this. You know, you know, because this was a man's job. You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, there is a window for me, you know, in this company. So it was, you know, so you just I look at all the things that got me to the location where I'm at, or to the status where I'm at in my life. And you just look back and you hear people say, I always admired you. Or I'm like, really? What did I do? You know, but it's something that's innate in Black women that we have to fight for. It's just, I don't know. We carry that load. You know, we tread through magic. You look at Carmela Harris, look at her. You know, she probably has some loads to carry, you know, especially being fair skinned. So, you know, she had to fight those, you know, there's a lot of battles she had to fight, you know, through her battles and everything, you know. I was looking at Michelle Obama, you know, she come from the south side of Chicago. So, you know, it was some stuff that she had to go through. So if we got a strong background, someone pushing us and telling us you can get up out this bed this morning. Yes, this is the reason. You got children, you got different things that's pushing you. You're not gonna give up. It's something about us. We don't give up no matter what. Some of us fall through the cracks, but a lot of us be pushing, you know, and striving to do better. And not only that, lift up people with us. You know, I can remind myself of lifting up people that have elevated themselves in the company. And I'm like, hey, okay. And they were like, you the reason I did this. You the reason I did that. So I just try to be myself. I don't try to pretend to be anybody. I just try to be who God put me on this earth to be, and try to treat everybody with love and respect. And I believe that if I magically touch you, you will excel. So that's the way I look at Black women. They just, something about them. They beautiful, and they just push. You know. And
Amen. I love that. I love that. I love that. And Chris, I mean, you and I, we have daughters, and we can testify to the fact that it's important. And Yvette, we just heard you say it. It was important that you had your dad for a better part of 50 years of your life. And I think if I was to ask Chris, what do you think the importance of having a father in a daughter's life as it relates to them having this innate ability to exhibit this Black girl magic?
Well, I believe that in every home there needs to be a mother and a father, period. And that's what God designed it. He's me a male and female. But a father figure is one thing that's a young lady needs, because she's showing her what if he's a real man, showing what a real man is supposed to look like. I was having a conversation the other day with my middle daughter, and I always call her my prodigal child because she be way off the map sometimes. But anyway, she came back and told me, "Thank you, Daddy, because you instilled in me some things and stuff that I needed in life. You know, you told me about hard work, and you told me about don't get no good Negro, less than that." And it came to her. She came and told me, I'm an independent woman, but I thank my father for showing me the way. So that's why men need to show what a father figure like. My daughter see a father that went to work every day, provided for him, cooked for him, did everything else. So now their expectation is, get a man, what can you do for me?
I think Janet Jackson put it best. What have you done for me lately? Oh, no, I'm not going to try to say. But I think when we talk about Black girl magic, you still have to examine the criticism that even now women take, and especially women of color, because Yvette touched on this topic and she just went right into my whole script. Let's talk about this whole fair skin, dark skin thing. Let's talk about it, guys. Why are we so caught up on our melanin or the color of our skin? Why is it such a hindrance to sisters getting along? Because every time we see a particular instance of strife between sisters, this is where we see this is one of the biggest divide when they're talking about, oh, that old light skin, you know what, or that old dark skin. But what's the old saying? You black, get back. You brown, stick around. So talk about it. What's been your experience with that?
Well, I think it's in this century it's changed. When I was growing up, it was always high yellow, curly, wavy hair, and that's what it was. The men were like that, and the women were like that. All the men wanted a light skin, curly head, high yellow, white, light, damn near white. That's what we wanted. And the women wanted the same thing. They wanted a DeBarge looking, curly head looking Negro. But nowadays it seems to have changed. To me, you see more people with they like a black. I do. They're like a dark skinned black woman. They don't want necessarily a high yellow woman. It's kind of flip. And I look at it too. In my generation, I had to learn that. My mother was high yellow. My grandmother was high yellow. My father was black as night. Well, I turned out to be black. So, you know. But I know men, you like people like your mama. When I was younger, yeah, I wanted a woman to look like my mama. But now, it's totally different. So I think things have changed. It might not have changed the most, but it has really, I think it's changed. Hello?
I can see some things happening, and as we look at this, like I said, I chose this particular topic because we're in Advent season and we're thinking about the coming of Christ and the expectation of Christ. And we talked about this on the other day. We talked about which was greater, him being born or him dying. And I think the fact that we're talking about the evolution of Black women, especially in these times, because in these last 4 to 6 years, we've seen more Black women elected to public office. And this is pretty much what we talk about on this program, politics. But look at what we got right now. This year alone, we have our first woman of color who's going to be vice president of the United States. Let's count the number of senators, House of Representatives that are people of color representing the people. And by the way, they did pass a stopgap spending budget for the so the government won't shut down, but they're still working on this whole stimulus thing. Then we got all these major movie stars or Hollywood and TV stars making great strides, going from just being in front of the camera to behind the camera to actually producing, because you have your Ava DuVernays and your Shonda Rhimes who are producing these great programs. And it was once an article put out there for Shonda Rhimes. This woman has saved the future of television just by just having the few shows that she's had that has been successful. And of one of those shows, it was How to Get Away with Murder with Viola Davis. And Viola Davis, in one of the episodes, she portrays where she's being brought up on charges for a criminal act. And by design, I heard her talking about this on 60 Minutes. She said in the character, she had to strip down to the bare bones of her being all suited up, suited and booted, to look just like she was downtrodden and everything. That was by design, because she said she wanted the world to see Black people in the beauty of who they are in their natural skin. Because she said as a young girl growing up, she never thought that she was pretty. And this is why I'm talking about Black girl magic, because I mean, we both have daughters, and Yvette is our sister, and all those that are out there that are listening intently, because I think the numbers keep going up and down, and I don't know if it's because there's a problem with the stream tonight, but I think that people are looking at women now and seeing them just assume a role that would be typically male's role. But I think it's more important that we understand it's just not them assuming a role that might be for men, but they're assuming a role for the family. And until we as men start to step back into the roles that we should be playing, then yes, I applaud these women for doing what they're doing. Because being raised by a single mother, I wish some of these opportunities were there for my mother, because, I think I've had a good life, but who's to say what my life would have been like if the opportunities that are afforded women, and especially women of color today, what it would mean to how she could have raised her kids. Because I can recall my mom getting up at 3:30 in the morning, no car, having to walk 3 blocks to the bus stop and you know, in Chicago in the wintertime, it gets down to sub-zero, to go work in a dry cleaner. Not a dry cleaner, but a dry cleaner, where you go into the actual factory and you're folding and cleaning linen and other people's clothes all day long. And then she would come home to us, and we would be there by ourselves. And we became what they call the latchkey kids. But she had this one thing that we see a lot of young people or young mothers not doing with their young sons and daughters. They not giving them responsibility. Because I can recall when my mom would work on Saturdays, our duty every Saturday was to go out there before we could go to the movies, before we can go outside and play. We were responsible for cleaning her house. Even though we lived in an apartment building, we cleaned that house like it was our own. And we were responsible for not just sweeping the floor or wiping down the sinks and washing the dishes and things like that. I mean, we literally had to roll up the carpet, get down on the floor on our knees and scrub that floor, mop the floor, get with the scalding pads, scrub pots, wash windows, and pull furniture away from the walls and sweep behind that. There was no getting away from that. This is what gives the resilient of the Black woman their power, their authority, and who and what they are. And I think it's important that we understand that. So I choose again on this night as I'm trying out this new platform called Restream, and it's allowing me to broadcast on 2 different streams live at the exact same time. So we're actually being viewed here on Facebook Live, and then we're also being viewed on YouTube Live at the same time. And so I want to just thank you all for just participating with us on GOTV Friday and this experimental week of me trying something new. And I think this is what we see with women, and we look at what we call them Black girl magic, Black girl magic. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Now, I already talked about the meaning and what it means to me and how it could affect you. But let's talk about Black girl magic in terms of the illustrated universal awesomeness of Black women. Come on, Black women out there. I see y'all out there. I see you, Sister Hobbs out there in Texas. I see you, Brother Michael. Chime in the conversation. Join in. Feel free. It's an open forum, and trust me, we restrict no comments whatsoever. We just want you to be a part of what's happening in your community. So I'm back to the thought of Black girl magic as a term, and how's it illustrated in the universal awesomeness of what Black women do and how they respond to things every day. Because if I was to give my point and my perspective on it, I just see, let's say, for example, this was maybe 2 or 3 years ago when Black women were truly being celebrated after the movie Hidden Figures came out with Taraji and Janelle and who else? I forget the other characters we were in it. And they played this pivotal role in the United States getting to the moon. And these were real women, but these were untold stories that we had never heard before. Then there was another little small movie called The Black Panther. And we see Black women, they're the warrior, they're the warring entities in this whole movie. And they stood for represented for what I see Black women do every day in our culture. They will protect their home at all costs. They will protect their home at all costs. Somebody tell me what you all see, because those are the things that I see. Brother Chris, what do you see?
Well, I see Black women as the mother figure to protect us and things like that. I mean, everything comes from the mother, Black woman. Black woman has came from a lot of things, but my thing is, I look at the Black family and what we have together, what we have had to go through to get to where we are now. You know, we still got a long way to go, but we have struggled together. You know, because we can talk about the Black woman all day long, and I'm with the Black woman. I got 3 daughters, nieces, and everything else, and I see the struggles. But it also has to deal with the Black family. But I see the roles the Black women have taken. I was watching something not too long ago, Isaiah, whatever it was, And when we talk about light skin and dark skin, we're talking about Lisa Ray and her family, and how her father was real wealthy and did all kind of stuff, but her mother came from down south, high yellow woman. She said all she did was pick cotton, and that's kind of was unusual back then for. And that's all she knew how to do. She didn't know. She barely knew how to read, but she picked cotton all her life. So just think about it. Here's a high yellow woman down south back in the days and picking cotton. So a lot of things happen. Take it back to you.
We can see you. So
Is it
Black
just the
Girl
two
Man.
of us now?
There you go. No, it's all three of us.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is a new platform. So I'm like, okay. All right. Oh, this is pretty cool. Wow. How did you find this? What? Yeah. Like, how did you find this? I'm not hearing.
How
I
about
can't.
now?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, I think once I do that, it turns it off. But
Okay.
yeah, I was saying we use this in the church, and
Oh, okay.
platforms that we could use.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Because you see how cool it is, right?
Yeah. Wow, man.
But like I said, we gonna work out these rough edges, because I know everybody's like, man, I'm not used to this one yet. But as you all can see, we're doing pretty good, because we're still able to get the theme out there and talk about it and entertain it. But I'm loving the fact that I see you all willing to get in here and try with this experimentation. But and like I said in the introduction of this particular topic, I showed the video of a young woman doing a TED talk, and she did a phenomenal job explaining what Black Girl Magic is, Now, what I'm gonna do at this particular junction, I'm gonna pause for a minute, I'm gonna go to another shot, and this one's about a minute long, and this will give you a better understanding of why I chose this topic tonight. And you're gonna be like, man, this dude is on to something. But this is Mahogany Brown performing original poetry, and she's talking about Black Girl Magic. Let's take a listen
Okay.
and tell me what y'all think after seeing it. Tell me, can y'all hear that? Can you all hear that? tell you what, let's go back to this. Okay, I'm back, guys. I'm gonna work those issues out, but I think if you all could have saw what I was witnessing, it's kind of mind blowing. And but what it showed was this young lady doing this poetry, and she talked about all the stereotypical things that Black women are associated with being, even to the point of let's use what's happening here in Chicago for an example. We have 4 young Black teens, or at least 2 of them that are teens, that were arrested this past week for the fireman's death after trying to carjack him after him coming out of a popcorn shop, and they killed him trying to steal his car. And she talks about, from a perspective of all Black women are good for is birthing thugs, sitting there and staying in the kitchen and staying knocked up and pregnant. What say you all about that, Miss Noma?
Well, I'm gonna say this. If you look at some of the households with some of the young men, like I always tell you, it needs to be a two-family, a two-part in there. Mama can raise a son so far, but she can't teach him to be a man. And you got a lot of young men out here that don't have a father figure in their life, don't want to tell them how to be a man. And I'm gonna tell you straight up, like my old man used to do, put your foot somewhere where it need to be. So what happens is after they get a certain age, young men, they do exactly what they want to do. And mama can't control them. Mama did a good job. She did a great job in raising them. She raised them the best way she can. But then at a certain age, you can't teach them to be a man because you're not a man. You're like my daughters. I can't teach them to be a woman. I can teach them so many things, but at a certain age, I can't teach them to be a woman. It takes their mother, so a mother figured it out. And that's what's happening in the Black family. You have an absence of fathers, and now you have an absence of mothers.
Mm.
Yvette? Dr.
Well,
Wyatt?
Wyatt.
You're muted, Ross.
You can't hear you.
You still got the music on?
Who, me?
Come on, Mark.
Yes. That's my music. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Y'all know I gotta have me some soothing stuff to soothe my soul.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so you know, there was, since you talked about that, I saw I typically don't watch Iyanla Van Sant. I typically don't watch her, but there was a clip that I saw of her show where she was chastising you know, one of the people on her, you know, one of her, I guess, people that she was trying to fix their life or whatever, about how she treated her son.
It was I don't know, somehow we supposed to win something. Did we win?
And it was amazing. I don't know. And Mark, I was trying to you know, come back to me because I want to show y'all that clip because it was amazing, and it was showing how the damage that a woman could do, you know, in that case to a young man,
Okay.
and it was, I was blown away by it. I really was, and it's so true. So I'm gonna look for it, and then come back to me.
All right. So let's go to the next part of this whole celebration of Black Girl Magic. Now, by definition, Black Girl Magic, it celebrates anything we deem particularly dope, inspiring, and mind-blowing about women, especially Black women. What makes y'all dope? What makes y'all so inspired? What makes y'all so mind-blowing? Is it the way you wear your clothes? Is it the fancy clothes you wear? Is it the way you wear your hair?
So I have some thoughts about that, but hold on, I'm gonna share them with you.
Guys, because I mean, like, whoa, this is heavy, and I didn't expect that response. But here, what I'm going to ask the people that are watching to do too, you can chime in, and I can actually see your chat on screen at the same time. So if you have something to say about Black Girl Magic, and you want to just chime in, and you don't want to be seen speaking on camera, just chat in your comments, and we'll read them and we'll discuss them. But
Right.
I'm still asking the question: what makes y'all so dope, inspiring, and mind blowing?
You know, when I always explain to them, I always tell my daughter about a woman gathering. You know, we gather things, we put things together. We're just designed to do those things. And when we get about our business and really just focus on our business, I remember back in the day, I read something where when a woman became a certain age, she started gathering things to prepare herself for life, you know, to get married, get children. You know, she gathered things, and we still do that to this day. It may not be in the order that back in the way they did it back then, but we still gather things. We gather degrees, we gather children, we gather our husbands, we gather our communities, we gather things that's important to us. And it just, and you could just see it in our walk, you can see it in our talk. We know exactly what we're talking about, when we're confident, when we know that we've read up on the subject, we've done the best we can for any situations we've done. So, you know, I just, like I said, we're gatherers, you know, especially when it comes to relationship. I tell my daughter, we're gatherers and men are hunters. You let them hunt and you gather and you prepare for your life and whatever life going to bring you. That's why you gather these certain things, these degrees, this education, these jobs, these things to acquire in a life. And when you acquire those things, you're still looked up as a person that aspired to do something, not just sit there and let life happen. You aspire to do something, become that mother. You aspire to be that sister, that friend. You aspire to inspire women, men, and children alike. So you don't aspire just when you're going to do something. You don't aspire just for yourself, but every time you step out the door, or step out to amaze, you step out the door to improve the world. It just don't be about you. It's about the world. So when I step out, I say, what can I make? How can I make a difference today? You know, if I can do something for somebody, if I held the clothes, if I gave a homeless person $1, if I gave them a sandwich or something, I did something to inspire my day or inspire someone else. So if on this talk, if I can inspire anyone to step into their own or to step into their Black girl magic, every day that you walk out that door, you're inspired to do something different than you did the day before. So, you know, like I said, we got a certain walk. It's just those hips. They just, I don't know.
Don't you start that, Yvette. It's Friday night. If it wasn't for COVID, we'd probably be in some of those places where we get to see.
Right, we would probably be in some of those places, but you know, those are just some of the things that I look at Black Girl Magic as a way of being able to understand how we get to the points where we get from point A to point B in our lives. And another thing last thing I wanted, when he talked about men and their approval, I was talking about my father earlier. Women and boys, girls and boys need their father approval. I don't care. It's something about that man that does, when you need that approval from your father, it does something for you. It inspires you.
Absolutely. It does. Now, there was a song where Donnie McKirkland does this testimony about fathers, and he talks about what father is in the Greek, and he calls it patra, and it means father. And when he talks about father, he talked about he and his other sibling, they would be playing church at home. And the father was always an earshot away. And the mother was in the house too, an earshot away, where they could hear what was going on with the two of them. So this one time they're out in the back playing, and they both got upset with each other because that one of the two siblings wanted to play the pastor. So they got to fighting. And so the mother looks out the kitchen window and she calls out the father's name, which is his name, Donnie. So as much as she was telling them to stop and break up, quit fighting, doing all this, she says, Donnie, the father. So when the father comes, just his mere presence, they stop fighting when he showed up.
Yeah.
That's what fathers do.
That's what fathers
when
do.
they're in they come in and they represent just their sheer presence.
Yes.
It represents that. But you kind of see there's been like this shift that Chris talks about.
Yes.
Women are starting to kind of assume some of that authority too, because they can walk into a room now. And kids that are acting up, they'll sit up and straighten up. And this is what we're talking about. This is why we're looking at Black Girl Magic. How do you all assume this type of power? Or I don't even want to call it power. I just want to say, just this exude this energy that makes people respect who you all are.
You just gotta assume
But the thing about it is this: a woman can't. Mama used to walk in the room, and she say something and look at you, and she ready to knock your head off. She had that respect, and women do have that respect. But it's still in all, according to the Word of God, just like Yvette say, it's that man that comes in there. It's that man who gives the validation of them and everything else. I'm not trying to compete with each other, but the woman is the nurturer. She's the one. Mama's the one who you go to when you want to talk to, you want to cry and everything else, and she'll listen to you and tell you to stand up. But the father gonna tell you he gonna listen to a certain degree, and he gonna tell you this, and that. And the problem is, well, we have to be careful on that line. Have to be real careful on the line. I'm not trying to push nobody out of their thing. Women have their roles, and men have their roles. But when a man crosses over trying to be like a woman's role, a woman trying to cross over with a man's role, now you got some issues.
And the other thing too is you talked about having that power, that energy. You have to be careful how you will that, right? You have to be careful how you will that, because if you're not careful, you can do some damage. And so I found that little clip, and I'm gonna share my screen. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Let's do this. Okay. So you can probably see it. Can you see it now?
No.
Wait, but I got it.
He got to share it.
I see.
Okay. You see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me know if you can hear it. Can y'all hear it?
No.
Can't hear it.
No.
But we do see it.
But we do see it.
Hold on. Let me. So can
stop your share for a moment. Yeah, just stop your share for a moment, and then
hold on.
Then set it back up again. Go back in and set it back up again, and then you have to click that little radio box that says share audio.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay,
I
can
love
y'all
this
see
technology, but we're gonna be so smooth with this once we get this down, you all. We got so much great content we can share. It's just
I know. Okay, so can you see it now?
Okay, you gotta share it again.
Okay. Oh, share your entire screen. Okay, share. Here we go. Now you can see the screen, and now can you see the video?
Screen.
Okay, you ready? Okay, here we go.
I have only known this young man 24 hours, and there's no way in the world, just reading his space, that I know he's going to allow a man to abuse a woman in his presence.
She doesn't think about me that way. She doesn't.
Well,
because I just saw him playing basketball and going on dates together.
So what? Mind your business. You say that you don't see the man that your son is. So I'm asking you, since this is not a demonstration of a man, you need to tell me what man you're using to measure him with. Which one?
My idea.
Which is your idea.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that the idea you trained him up to be?
No.
Oh. So how in the blazing bejesus are you holding him accountable to a standard that you didn't teach him, his father didn't give him, He don't even know what it is, and yet as his mother, you sit in his face and tell him you don't respect him as a man. Tell me how that works. Help me.
Like I said, it was events. It wasn't just.
I'm talking
And
about
it's
one
also
thing.
how he treats me.
Yeah, but
He doesn't respect me
hello.
as a mom, and so-
You see, you are a provocative victim. You provoke stuff, and then when you start being held accountable for it, then you start twisting and turning and making the other person wrong. Look at me, Ma. Look at me. Look at me. You just sat here and told your son, who ain't got a needle in his arm, who I'm assuming pays his own rent. He's married to a registered nurse. He's got 3 baby boys. And you just sat here in his face and said, I don't respect him as a man. Mm-hmm. And you don't think to consider what that does to his heart, to his soul, to his spirit.
I'm sure that's hurtful.
And you okay with that?
And it's hurtful for the things that he says.
But there you go. You're doing it. You're doing it right now. You're doing it right now. I'm holding you accountable, and you spinning. You spinning your web. You're trying to get away. You're trying to get away. Tell me. Just here's the question. Just answer it. We'll get back to that other stuff later. Tell me.
Forgive me. I respect him. He's a wonderful man.
Do you understand that your mouth, your voice, your words are connected to the coils in his heart, to the valves in his heart? He can't help but love you. And every time you dishonor that love, you chip a piece of him, chip a piece of him. This is why in our culture as black people, when the boys turn a certain age, the men come and get him and take him away from the mother because she can emotionally manipulate him. But since we don't live in our culture no more, we say what we want to say, do what we want to say. We tear our men down and then wonder why they don't make good husbands and fathers. Mothers destroy sons. His mother can speak to him in certain ways that destroy him in ways that can never be repaired.
Okay.
That was deep. That was deep.
That was a mouthful.
So that's what I was saying about you do have power. You do have. You heard her say that she can. You know what I mean? You heard her say that. You heard her say that she has that power, but you have to be careful how you wield that power. And so maybe it's best that if the parents aren't together anymore, maybe it's best for the son at a certain point to go and live with the father, because I think they need that balance, right? And I think you're less likely to learn to start manipulating them if because it's a weird dynamic. But I thought that I saw that and I just thought, man, that's really powerful. And I'm wondering, can people see, were people able to see themselves in that, right? um it the thing about having two parents in the home that's good is because you get that balance, right? You get that yin and that yang, because like Chris said, the father, he's the problem solver, right? He ain't trying to hear a whole bunch of lottie dottie and everybody, you know what I mean, and this and this and this. He just wants the problem solved. The mother is like typically more the nurturer, right? And she's there, like Chris said, to listen and to let you vent and to say it's going to be okay. And the dad, he just the problem solver. He's just like, okay, let's see what we're going to do. How are we going to get this done? It needs to be corrected. Let's get it done. Boom. End of story. So,
but there's an important issue that she talked about, and I'm trying to celebrate Black women tonight, but I think in what you just showed kind of had me look at it at what we as men feel when women assume this Black girl magic and we feel emasculated, because that's what she as the mother was doing with her son. And it's like women will get in your face, and these are couples we're talking about, and women will get in their face and say, what have you been doing all day? And this is for a man who probably had been working when they first met, but as life happens, he is now unemployed and he's home every day. He's home all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to work, but she comes home now, just like the man, and says, what have you been doing all day? And asking the question with the expectation of saying that I've been looking for a job. Well, he might have spent, maybe with technology the way it is now, he probably spent maybe 30 minutes to an hour looking for a job online. Well, he didn't go knock on no doors, but she then comes back with the response based on his answer is, you're good for nothing. But then there's those other issues where black men feel emasculated, where all men are dogs. And then here's the other part. They say all black men are dogs. I don't understand where that comes from. But
Well,
yet,
a lot of it comes from, it's generational. They mama, they daddy walked out on them, their granddaddy walked out on them. It's a generation. I'm gonna get real with my family. My grandfather was married two times. My daddy was married 3 times. His brother married 3 times. His daughter, my aunt was married 3 times. All of them, because they don't believe it. They don't believe in keeping the same. They did all of them, from the brother to the sister. They all did it. It all stemmed from my grandpa. And if you have and it's generational. And and I got some cousins been married 3-4 times. So you know what? It comes from a generational. It comes from something. When the father leaves the home and everything else, well, okay, daddy can do it. I'm gonna do the same thing too. No value. There's no values no more in home. I mean, what we have to do. I love the topic Black Girl Magic, but let's also deal with the family, because one of the problems with the African American is it's the breakup of the family. A lot of our problems stem up. The father's not there, the mother's not there. A lot of our kids are having babies out of wedlock, baby mama drama, baby daddy drama, and that's the problem we have.
So the thing with the Black Girl Magic is, it's good to celebrate. It's good to celebrate those things, right? It's good to celebrate, all the things we bring to the table. But also the other part of that responsibility is also being able to examine yourself, right? Being able to look honestly at yourself. I think, and that's the hardest thing in the world, right? Is to turn the mirror, to turn the mirror, to you, and have you face yourself, and say, hey, I'm not, yes, there's some things I do really, really well, but there's some things that I need to work on. That's and that's, you even, scripture tells you that, right? So before you even take communion, you're supposed to examine yourself, right? You're supposed to, look honestly at yourself and see where you're lacking. And it's much better, you judge yourself. So, so God doesn't have,
have
so
to.
God doesn't have
He
to.
doesn't have to.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, and that's the thing, you see. I mean, have you guys, I was gonna ask you, have you guys seen this guy? I don't, he's on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen him. He's like, I guess he's some relationship guy, and he really, he really cuts into women. I don't know. Have you seen that guy? It's like Kendall something. I don't know, but he's, and I ran across it because somebody was talking about how he told this woman that she was gonna die alone or something like that, right? And it was really, really cruel. It was really harsh. And I was like, man, this is, you shouldn't tell people stuff like that, right? And he was wrong for saying it the way he did. But, and listening to that conversation between the two of them, what you realize is you have to be, it requires maturity to like look at yourself, right? It's good. Yvette does a lot of great things, She helps
That's
her
great.
daughter.
You just
You
don't
know,
realize.
she's running a business. She was in management for years, right? You know, Roz does this or that. But I think the important thing to improve, right, and to keep, going forward. And the whole black girl magic thing is, it's true. Black women have these attributes and these things, and because they've had to, right, throughout the years. But I don't believe in magic, number one. But in order to keep that, you always have to be growing and developing, right? So how do you grow and develop? You do something better this year than you did last year. But so it always requires you to examine yourself, you know. Um, I look at my grandmother, aunts or whoever, all these other people, and there are some excellent traits that they have, right? So how do I learn to mirror those traits in the things that are not, pleasing to God and whatever? How do I learn to not follow those? So it requires a lot of self-examination. And that's the thing I've been thinking about a lot lately, right? Is self-examination and making sure that you're better, this month than you were last month, and so on and so forth. So,
Absolutely.
you know,
I agree with the introspective because it's where you kind of do a self examination of yourself. And it's interesting that the Bible kind of admonishes you of that. You talked about it from the standpoint of prior to taking communion, but there's this passage in the Bible that also says this: a man tends to look at himself in a mirror, but when he turns from it, he forgets what he saw.
oh yeah.
And if he forgets what he or she sees, then that says a lot. That says a multitude of things because one, and there's this illustration I found of this image of a black man and his son. They're standing in front of a mirror, and the father is dressed up in his suit with his briefcase ready to go to work, and the son is about 5 years old, and he's waiting, standing in the mirror in the shadows of his father, with the expectation of growing up and maturing or matriculating to that level of living. So when we look at mirrors, we look at it from our lenses, but then we got to look at it from the lenses of our children too. Because if our children are seeing us living less than what we expect of them, they're gonna adopt that, and that's gonna deal with their self-esteem as well. But I loved it when Yvette said that earlier because she mentioned clearly it was great to have her father for a
Oh,
better part of those 50 years.
But let me
Go
let
ahead.
me interject and say something real quick. And Yvette and Rosa, I want to read this to you. This is who you are. Who can find a virtuous woman? For a price is far above ruby. The heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships that bringeth food from afar. She riseth also in the night and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maids. She considered a field and buyeth it, and the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins in strength and strengthened her arm. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her cattle give her not. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold to the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. She raised forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all the household are in cleft and scarlet. She maketh herself covered from leprosy, her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known at the gates when she sitteth among her elders of the land. So maketh fine linen, selleth it, delivered girdles to the men hunt. Sit up in honor of her clothing, she shall rejoice in the time to come. Listen, Proverbs 31 woman, this is what a black woman is, in my opinion. Not all black women, but this is what Yvette and Roz and a lot of women are. They're virtuous women. And when you're a virtuous woman, that's all that counts because in the end, when we leave here, you got to answer to God. How did you treat your children? How did you treat your husband? How did you treat your marriage? And most of all, how did you treat God? That's when we talk about black girl magic. When you can find a virtuous woman. About 7 years ago, my aunt was this virtuous lady. She died. Her husband got sick and didn't work. She took care of the household. She raised the kids and everything else. And I had a chance to speak this same thing at the funeral because that's who she is. And that's what the model of what women should be like. And we got Titus men. We talk about it, another thing, but you got this virtuous woman. Think about it. If we had more women like Yvette and Rosalind and some other women, a lot of things that happen now would not necessarily happen, along with a father and a man being a man.
The thing about it is that I think the key for people to understand is that you have to understand that having black girl magic doesn't mean that you're perfect, right? It means that you're forever wanting to grow and develop. My father, I always say, he was a minister, and he always said, you need to be making some new mistakes. Don't be making the same mistakes you made 5 years ago. Make some new mistakes. At least that shows that you're growing and developing, right? And tackling something else. But that's the thing, is to really examine yourself and face yourself, because that's the only way that you're ever gonna improve or get better. And I mean, and that's what we should want, right? That's what we should strive for, is to constantly move closer to the mark, right? So and thank you for that, Chris. I love that scripture, and it's really encouraging, right? And it's something to live up to.
Yeah. And here's something else with that scripture. This is a mother. King Lemuel. Some people think it's Solomon, Bathsheba. She telling her son what kind of wife to get. So evidently she must have been the Proverb 31 woman. She was the black girl magic.
But that's exactly where I was getting ready to go with that, because it was like, now here's a mother telling her son, this is what you should be looking for. Right. And he's telling you, this is your black girl magic right here. This is your virtuous woman. This is the woman that gets up early in the morning and prepares her house for everything. And when you think about Yvette and posed about who she is, she's up praying all over her house.
All over the house. And it just ain't started now. She been doing it. She got up early in the morning, come to mountain. She going with all the CJ problems. People bringing all that to her house. She come home and dealing with her house. And then she's a praying woman. She bringing things home. And then her children are looking at her. Her husband is looking at that. Same thing, Rosalind. And they're saying they're blessed because they have a black girl magic. But most of all, they got a godly magic woman.
Well, I was gonna say black girl blessings. I was gonna change it. Since Rosalind said, I don't believe in magic, but guess what? God is magic. So I just want to let you know he's not black magic, but he's the magic.
But when they use the word magic, the black girl magic, the founders of black girl magic, they use that particular metaphor to explain the fact that you trying to explain something you don't understand. That's why they call it magic. Black girl magic is just something that other ethnic groups don't understand. Right. And this is why now they're even turning the tables to try to say that some of the things that black girl magic has brought about has made us as a people equally as racist as they are or have been. There's nowhere in the world that we can be equated with 400 years of slavery,
right,
and Jim Crow, and now mass incarceration, with the fact with black girl magic, which is probably going to be going on for a little better than 7 years. And all we're doing is just asking for just us to be equal, just us being equal, just us being equal. I said that 3 times for a reason. Somebody caught it, but it's just us being treated equally. And that's it, because it seems like just us are always affected by all this other stuff. So what I want to kind of shift gears to now, as we talk about Black Girl Magic, since 2015, these are the 11 accomplishments that have happened due to the Black Girl Magic movement. We got 11. Let's talk about them. The first one is this. The Black Lives Matter, they met with Hillary and Bernie Sanders in 2015 during the campaign to be elected to office. What came out of that was what? Anybody have an idea? Does that give us a place at the table now because of this new administration? Let me see. I think I got myself muted. How about now? No? Let me do it this way. All right, there we go. How about now?
All right.
Okay. So yeah, I think when we look at this particular administration, he's trying, when Biden takes office on January 20th, right now, as he's appointing his cabinet people, he's trying to create an environment just based on this notion alone that he wants to have a country that looks like what it looks like. He wants his administration to look like what this country looks like. He wants a wide demographic of individuals in positions in power, whether it be people of color, whether it be people with different languages, or come from other countries and live those out. And this is what America is a melting pot of people. But how can you be a government and not have that? How can you be a melting pot of people and don't have that? So this is what we're looking at when we see some of the accomplishments of the activists, which being Black Girl Magic has accomplished. That's one thing they have now. When we always cry about having a place at the table, this is giving us a place at the table. Giving us a place at the table. Anybody else have any thoughts?
What do I want to talk about? I was, my mind was somewhere else, but I just wanted to comment about when we talk about these things, about being able to have our issues at the table. What are the issues that they want? Are they going to address when he said we're going to have the same type of people that they're going? Basically, I'm going to represent what the America consists of. I just want to be able to I want us to be able to get our fair share of what America owes us as people and how much contributions we have done for this country. And can we get our reparation for, I understand we talk about Black Girl Magic. We need some reparation for the things they have done, the mass incarceration, it's so many things. I want to go all the way back to the Bible for my reparation, as much as they've done. But in order for them to get to make it right with us, I don't want any statues. You know, they always get these leaders and they want to put these people together. And they want to give us statues, give us museums. You know, they want to give us all these accolades and all these different things. Give me some reparation for the wrong you have done to me, my ancestors before me, back in slavery, almost biblical, back to biblical. So the thing is the administration going to help us get our reparation? They gave it to the Japanese. They gave it to the Jews. They gave it to the Israels. Now, when are they going to give it to us? That's all I want. I understand. I want to keep on striving to uplifting my community with every Black Girl Magic aspiration that I can. What can I do? What will this administration do for us and lift especially our men up back into power or back in the rightful place they should be in? And that's what I want to know. Can this administration do something like that?
You know something? There has been talk about that, but Roz, I hear you.
No, all I wanted to say was I was just going to piggyback on what Yvette said about the symbolism and the statues and all that. Mark, I know you saw where Major League Baseball is now recognizing the stats and stuff from the Negro leagues,
Right.
during that era of play. And I was like, why are they doing that? I don't want them lumped in there with Major League Baseball right now. Why? Why? They didn't do it before. But my question is, by doing that, by lumping the Negro Leagues stats in with Major League Baseball, are they going to pay some type of reparations to the people in the Negro Leagues?
Yes.
There are a few.
Yes.
There's a handful of Negro Leagues players still living. Are they going to give them a contract? You know what I mean? Just like say, okay, well, you'll get a contract. It's been a long time coming, but you'll get a contract for playing. Or to the people who have died, to their families, do you get some type of pension? Because I think, don't when you play professional sports, you get some type of
Pension. Yeah.
pension or something like that. So why are you throwing in the stats? That's nothing. That means nothing. They know they were great players. All those Negro League players knew that they could go in the major leagues and take it over. They knew that. They knew that. They didn't have any doubt about their own ability. So why are you now coming with some symbolism? And I think that's the thing that we have to start, like 86 and yeah, you know what? The symbolism, that's cute. But no, we want real dollars and cents. We need something tangible.
Well, let
Something.
me say this. There is a model out here. I'm reading now. The city of Asheville, North Carolina, has already doing the Trump, a historic move. North Carolina City approved reparations for Black residents, and they're doing some things. They're giving some land, which one of the most important things to African American, not the crazy land, but choice land. They are giving some not just jobs, but investing in businesses in the African American community in Asheville, North Carolina. There's a list of them. You go online and take a look at it. So there is a model. Now the thing about it is, when we talk about reparation, that's why we need to talk. What kind of reparations do African Americans we want? We need something that's going to be life changing. I don't need to put $20,000 in everybody's hand, because half that going to be gone, and we be looking 5 years later. Well, they ain't did nothing for us. No, we need something that's going to be
Transformative. Yeah.
generational.
Yeah. You need something transformative.
Right. So
Well, there's things that they can put in place. There's things they can put in place for people. But the thing is, it's so much money that they owe us. It's past trillions. So the thing is, they figure if they like Mitch O'Connell said, I gave you a Black president. What else you want? I gave you a Condoleezza Rice. What else you want? I gave you this. I gave you that. So they don't feel that we deserve anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you love that. You gotta love that event. So we love that when he comes into the room. Of course, he's gonna be a star one day. But yeah, well, I was thinking about this, and I'll try to answer it from two perspectives. From Rosalind's questions, what was the point of them talking about these statistics comparatively to those that played in the major league?
Yes, because we all know they were better.
Right. But now here's the parallel that I draw from that. We're in an era where players are playing with enhanced abilities by using steroids and all of this, and their statistics are going high. And now they've even decided to not even put some of those players in the Hall of Fame because they performed under those performance enhancement drugs. But here you have a group of individuals, which I would commend for being able to play on that same level and weren't afforded the same opportunities to do it. Because I was trying to remember the one baseball player that they considered equally as good as Babe Ruth. He had hit equally as more, if not more, home runs than Babe Ruth in his career, and he did it in a short amount of time. But I think it's commendable that they just want to put it out there. But for like what you're saying, Roz, and everybody in the group is saying, we need to understand that these individuals need even their ancestors, or somebody needs some type of reparations for what has happened to them because of what has happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
And even though there was talk during the election about some candidates talking about reparations for certain parts of the country. And Chris just talked about one of those states, but it's not like a widespread thing, because I think if you just arguing over $600 or $600 to $1,200 for just a one-time stimulus payment, how likely is it they're going to give us reparation?
Well, we can get it, but the thing about it, we got to come together and talk about some things that we really just going, like Ashfield said, some generational. That's the problem with us. We got to come together on one accord. It just ain't your $50,000 give every black person in America $50,000. No, it's got to be more than money. Land. When the Indians, when the America messed the Indians up, they gave them land. We want some land, some choice land. We want to be able to go somewhere and build some homes and things like that, and businesses on some choice property, not some in the dump. This is what we want. We want you to invest in our businesses and things like that. This is what we need. We don't need just all the money in our hand. Because if you give us the opportunity to make the money and to do right, you changing the landscape.
Right. Factories and, manufacturing facilities and there's a professor at Duke University named Dr. William Darity. Dr. Darity. He's written some good pieces where he talks about 40 acres and a mule, what 40 acres and a mule looks like in 2000. I think he first started in 2008, but he's actually calculated it, right? And so, according to his latest calculations, I mean, I think it was up around something like maybe $18 trillion or something like that in today's dollars. So, people are doing the work, right? They're focusing on it, and Chris is absolutely right. It can't be, because all you're going to do is take that money and go spend it and give it right back to the people who wronged you. So the key is to for it to be like transformative. It's got to erase generations of neglect and cheating and unfairness.
And then we have to look at our own self. We are the biggest consumers of any group of people. How many millions of dollars that go outside of our own community that we don't spend in our own community? We go out there and give it to, instead of go down the street to mom and pop, our people, we go over there to I ain't spend no money out there. So our mindset has got to change. If we want these things, we got to change our whole mindset. It can never, like somebody told me a long time ago, the eye infection with us got to die. In order for us to move on to eye infection, because it ain't about you. It wasn't about you. It ain't nothing about you back then when that was your grandmama and all that. This is for the next generation. Even the Bible even tells us about that. It said leave an inheritance to your children's children. It ain't about you getting your $50,000. It's about, do I have enough money? Will it be enough money for my children's children? Will it be good businesses for my children's children? Can my children's children live in a thing? Even in the Bible with Abraham, the promise was, God promised Abraham all this, but Abraham never seen it. It was his children's children that seen it.
You know what, Chris, you're absolutely right about the consumption, and that's the first and foremost thing. It's like a, yeah, it's like a, oh, I don't know, it's satanic almost how much emphasis is placed on things like, and you can't accumulate anything, you can't accumulate any wealth or saving, because you're spending, you're spending, and you have to. I'll tell you something. Okay, so the other day, we had some issues here at the house, right? So, yeah, okay. Suffice it to say, something happened, and water was raining down in my kitchen, right? over my over my where my breakfast table is. Just water, just raining, like. And so, we figured out what was wrong, and we had to, of course, call the plumber, and that was like, that's not like a thing like, oh, I need to get this fixed. No, that was an emergency situation. So that young man came in and he addressed that problem. And I'm not going to even tell you how much it cost to address that problem. So what I'm saying is, guess what's always going to be needed? Plumbers. And I think we've got to also think more, we think so much about like you said, Chris, about the spending and and being able to, what's the word where you show off, and what's the word that people use where you show off your swag, right? And
Swag,
this and that and this.
bling bling.
Meanwhile,
Flexing.
yeah, and meanwhile, if you go to community college and get your plumbing certificate, and and learn how to do plumbing, you could, and you don't have to work for anybody. You see what I'm saying? You could have, and then next thing you know, you getting you a little apprentice from the neighborhood who want to learn, and then because you can't possibly do all that work, and then you getting in another apprentice, and now you're building wealth.
Yes.
And that's the thing that people. It's like you got to take your eye off of that. The only thing that you can just see right here in front of you. You gotta be more future oriented. You
That's
have
why
to
they
be.
always say good.
And I get it. I know why. I know being future oriented is hard for people who are living, moment to moment, basically because of being terrorized, right? But we got to get out of that, and you got to start building. You got to start building, like Yvette said. In the meantime, we want those reparations. We want it. But in the meantime, there's some things we can be doing right
Now,
now to prepare for
yeah.
that.
Yes, we can be doing some things, getting ourselves together financially, setting aside money now, just little money, and just teaching our kids that way to save and way to put away to for the future. Because if we don't get it, our children are going to be responsible for bringing that wealth to the next generation. So we have to prepare them for that next generation that we're going to be. Moses didn't get in, so who said we made it? But the thing is, can we prepare ourselves, our children, to get in? You know. But I believe how you believe I receive. I believe I receive that to get
Yeah,
in.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it.
Is we have to join on those factors. You talk about the root. You said, yeah, they get all this, but we can't think about what if they get this. The thing is, the media they only advertise what we do wrong. They don't say what we do right. They don't say anything like that. So I just want to let you know that I come from a generation of fathers in the home. I've never experienced my father not being at home. I never experienced my brothers never being at home. My husband and his brothers, they're in their home with their family. My nephews, all of them, they're with their children, they're with their wives. They're this generation. See, they only advertise the things that are in the media that you got this identity that is so many black men that's not with their family. That's not true. My neighbors, they fathers, on my north and my south, and my east and my west. These are men over their households. They raising their children. So I don't know what kind of all this stuff they advertise on TV. It's not all true. They only interview 10 or 15 people, and then they say it was 20,000. But the thing is, we have to not listen to that. We have to keep on speaking that there's men over our household. The reason they're trying to kill so many and incarcerate and emasculate them is because they believe that the true Messiah is going to come through one of those births. Because I was listening to this thing and it was saying, and he was talking about when he made that decree to kill all black men, all those male boys. Just think about that. Just think about why would they tell them in biblical to kill all boys? all boys. Just think, just kind of let the Holy Spirit look at you like that. But why would they tell them to do that? This all the way back then. And what's happening now? You know, you look at slavery, they tried to demasculize, they did everything. I mean, they did everything they could to demasculize that man. They made him humiliate him. They made it he was the darkest, he was the brutest. They did all kinds of things to him. Then we get to the Jim Crow. He better not look a man in the eye. But secretly they was raising their families and keeping that man there. Then they realized they had to get him out of their home. Here come welfare. Get the man out the home. Get the man out the home. Destroy the man any kind of way you can. Now let's get him in drugs. Let's get him into homosexuality. Let's get him into this. So incarceration. Okay, we're gonna go mass incarceration. We're gonna put them all in jails. Now they all gonna come out drug addicts, different, even if they wasn't a criminal, they gonna become a criminal. So the thing is, we have to address these issues about getting stop spreading that rumor that all black males are bad. They are not. You know what I'm saying? Because all the people in my family have raised their children. They have been there with their children. So the thing is, when I look at this in the news, they probably it's just it's a smaller amount. But if you go into the community, you'll see a lot of families in there. You know what I'm saying? And I live in the South Shore area. I can go into a smaller portion in my community, and you see the ones hanging out on the street. I walk through there a lot of times. I put that oil. I say one day these guys gonna rise up, and we gonna bring a new generation around here or something, because it's gotta end. We gotta bind that spirit, and that's what it's a strong man in our community that's taking hold of our community.
But what I say all the time, it still got to come back to us as black men. We have to rise up and take back over what we left. A lot of us black men have left. Yeah, it is true, Yvette. It's a whole lot of black men raising their kids and everything else. But then there's a lot of black men, there's a lot of black women raising children by themselves. There's a lot of them out there, and a lot of black men have left. I hear black men all the time, I ain't paying no child support. Or better yet, they pay child support. I ain't being bothered. I can't stand her. Blah, 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 blah. So now you got the child out there, the child confused and everything else. Black men have got to stand, and not just stand up with your own children. You can't say my foe and no more. We gotta take our young black men and help raise them, because if we don't get a handle on our young black men, we in trouble.
And you have to be sincere about it, because I think that's the other thing. People, you have to, really, really be sincere about it. So, Chris, like you were talking about that young man that is dating your daughter, and I know how that was. I know how that was really weighing on you. But it really, Yvette was right. That it's really, really important. Because you might be, like you say, you might be the only Bible he sees. You might be the only representation of Christ that he sees. And you know what? It's so funny, because God does have a sense of humor. Okay, don't think he doesn't. And he put that young man in your life.
For a reason.
Yes. Now you know what? You're gonna see all those times that your mom or your dad or whoever told you to act right and you didn't act right. Okay, we're gonna let you do, we're gonna give you a do-over. What you call it, a mulligan, in the form of this young man. So now you get a chance to see what your parents went through with you, and then you get a chance to break that, to stop it and springboard something better off of it. So, and that's how we have to look at it. If you're talking about Black Girl Magic, we have to look at it like, man, this is an opportunity. Let's, I like that. I'm determined to be positive, right? And to say, you know what, let's look at it as an opportunity. Maybe it's, this is the opportunity, and God just doesn't give opportunities to, he gives it to you because he knows you can handle it. And and it's not people like, you proving it, you're proving, I heard somebody said that it's like, you had to prove it to yourself, because he already knew you could do it. He already knew. But now you just proving it to yourself. So you have talents, with Chris with your cooking
Yes.
and all of that. You have that's what I want us to start doing, is to start looking at people and looking at their assets and the value that they bring.
Yes.
And Chris, man, you can cook, man. Maybe that young man, pull him aside and say, hey, help me,
Help
hey, I
me
want
out.
to show you something. Help me do this. Help me.
I
And
tried that. I tried that. He in that. he's
I,
a he's a gamer, and I try to get into the game thing and what he is, but he's not. He loves the games and loves to design games. I try to talk to him, but he's got so much. He was raised by his mother and his sister them, and he's got too much. He's got a. I got to pray about that brother. Got to
Yeah.
break that mentality because it's a woman. He never had a man in his life. Bro.
uh,
He
well,
See
never,
that?
he never had a man in his life. So his mama raised him, his sister raised him, and what I don't like, he think my daughter gonna raise him. And that ain't how I raised my daughter to raise him. He's supposed to be the man. And we talked about that. We had a conversation, but he don't seem to get it. But he gonna find out one way or another. You gotta get it.
well, and the thing of it is just the like yeah, it's probably a different energy for him, right? It's male energy, so it's probably different. And
Right.
the thing of it is that all you just have to do is just be you. You know what I mean? Just be your regular self. You know, operate with your daughters the normal way, and people will he'll pick up, he'll see, and the thing of it is he may not never be a Chris, right? But
Right.
he can become the best him that he can be. You know what I mean? The best, because and that's the thing about and that's the one thing I would tell or hope that people, how the relationship doesn't always work out, right? You know that, Chris, the relationship doesn't always work out, but the children are there. And as mothers too, we have to allow, we have to allow the fathers,
Failure.
yeah,
Yeah.
to
Failure. This is
yeah.
you gotta allow it because and all you can do is pray that he ask him to ask God to renew his mind. Pray a prayer over him. I used to always pray. I used to be around my mother. My mother-in-law used to say certain things to my husband all the time. Oh, baby, you gonna have this, you gonna have that. And as she's saying that, I always have mind that thought in the name of Jesus. So the thing is, you got to say little prayers as you go around. Excuse me.
And that's the thing,
You know, you
we got to give people grace too. We got to give
pray.
them grace, and, and just trust that God gonna get them there. He's gonna get them there if we remain faithful.
Absolutely.
Chris, you have so much to offer. Mark, you guys, y'all have so much to offer, and hopefully, people, young people will see that. They'll see, like, wow, and if you are positive and and you're leading with the love of Christ, man, you know, because it has to be that way. I mean, because ain't nothing else working. So
because remember, love never fails. It always outdo hate. It outdo everything. So that that's the greatest commandment. We was talking about that. What Tuesday? The greatest commandment. I think that's been on my mind.
That was Wednesday night, and that's
Wednesday
how we
night.
closed this segment because in that segment it tied into directly to what we're at tonight in celebrating Black women because we were talking about how people will take a piece of scripture, misquote it, and then misapply it.
Right.
And as you quote it, you misapply it, then you mess up everybody. But then the last part of that, when we got to it, and we were talking about, remember the most cliched expression to be used ever in Christianity was, "What would Jesus do?" And so when you answer the question, people will say a whole lot of stuff. But the one thing Jesus did that nobody else did best was he knew how to love.
And show compassion.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
So when we talk about Black Girl Magic is just a love for her tribe, her community, her people. And she's unapologetic about that. So
right.
people need to stop playing games and telling us that we need to have our narrative written by other people. Black Girl Magic has just taken control and chose to write our own narrative, because it's been historic where we have not been able to tell our own story. We're just telling our own stories now. That's all. And I don't see anything wrong with us telling our story, because a lot of times throughout our history in this country, we didn't even document our stories. We told it word of mouth. We sat around campfires. We told these stories, but they never went any further. Because when you think about when we were watching Roots back in the 70s, and we see Kunta Kinte come from Africa, his parents tell him the story in Mother Africa. When he gets here to the States, he's telling it to his daughter, and his daughter's telling it to her son, and finally up to Alex Haley. And I remember when Alex Haley had come to college and talked with us, man, that was one of the most rich experiences I think I've ever had in my life, to have this person come in and talk about that. And it was mind-blowing. So, one thing I want to do, and I think it's going to work this time, I want to deal with this. I want to show you all this video real quick. It's about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes long. I think I got it right this time. You see it right there?
Yeah.
Okay, this should be it.
Yeah.
Check this out, and then mute your microphones, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Unless it's a joke. Because you ain't supposed to love yourself, black girl. You ain't supposed to find nothing worth saving in all that brown. You ain't supposed to know that Tina, Beyonce, Cecily, Shonda, Rhymes, shine, black girl. You ain't supposed to love your mind. You ain't supposed to love. You ain't supposed to be loved up on. You only supposed to pose. Voodoo child, Vixen style. You're supposed to pop out babies and hide the stretch marks. You're supposed to be still. So still they think you statue. So still they think you chalked outline. So still they keep thinking you stone. Until you look more Medusa than Viola Davis. Until you sound more Shanae than Kerry Washington. Until you're more side-eyed than Michelle Obama on a Tuesday, but you tell them you are more than a hot comb in a washing set. You are Kunta Kinte's kin. You are a black girl worth remembering, and you are a threat. Knowing yourself, you are a threat. Loving yourself, you are a threat. Loving your kin, you are a threat. Loving your children, you black girl magic, you black girl fly, you black girl branch, you black girl wonder, you black girl shine, you black girl bloom, you black girl, and you turning into a beautiful black woman right before our eyes.
Let's talk about it, guys. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What did y'all see? What did y'all hear? You're muted, Yvette. I see your mouth moving.
Just beauty and loving yourself and loving who you are and loving the skin that God put you in, loving every stretch mark, every out of place hair, every, just where you come from. You're not ashamed. You're not apologetic for anything you've ever done in your life. Just being beautiful, a beautiful soul inside out. That's what God created us to be. Is those, we can't help it. It just comes out naturally. Especially if you love God.
And you're productive.
And for being productive too, it's also awesome.
I mean, anything you all put your hands to, it succeeds. It succeeds. And I started out talking about the 11 things that Black Girl Magic has brought out since 2015. Once we talked about the now we're at the table with politicians, when I used the Hillary and Bernie Sanders for president of the United States. The second thing I want to talk about is the fact that the Say Her Name campaign raised awareness about police violence against Black women. This started with Black Girl Magic. The next thing that comes out is the Missouri students' protest that led to the university president resigning because of their history of how they treated people at the University of Missouri. And I'm not just talking about just people, I'm talking about people of color. The next thing we want to talk about is another particular case of that, where these schools were forced to reckon with, and it was a lot of campuses after that particular one in Missouri, where a lot of other campuses had to kind of recognize their history of how they treated us as a people. But that came out in the Black Girl Magic movement. Another one that we want to talk about is the fact that, as you can see, the idols you talked about, those idols start coming down. Activists produce the Confederate flags to be fought for and being removed from public spaces. Now you're starting to see them come down everywhere. I don't know. I'm gonna have to tease Rosalind on this one because Texas flag still kind of look like the Confederate flag, but that's another story for another day. So that's another thing that came out of Black Girl Magic. Now, some of the issues Black trans community began to widely be recognized. Black Girl Magic kind of helped with that because of the fact that just because they have some what do they call it? Binary issues in terms, I won't say issues, binary classifications of who they are and recognizing who they are. They want to be recognized for who they feel themselves to be. This came out of the Black Girl Magic movement, where they were treated not less than human, but they were treated as human, and they bring some human dignity to the fact that normally those individuals, and you still see it today, because they're gay or transgender, they're being assaulted and killed just because of that. So we see that, and that came out of the Black Girl Magic movement. Black students at the University of California prompted the school to pull $30 million from the prison investment. We talked about this event. We always talk about this with mass incarceration, and they're using prison labor to make corporate dollars. So they're getting free labor for nothing. They're getting free labor for nothing.
Yeah, that sounds like slavery.
It is, and that's what it is.
It is slavery.
It is. And then that's where when you begin to talk about this, you begin to look at what I forget her first name. Alexander is talking about when she's talking about the mass incarceration in the new Jim Crow, and she's talking about this. And in this, you have made the prison an industrial place where you can get free labor. People can build their products, produce their products for a penny for a day's work for all the convicts that are producing it. But the bad part about it is they're mass incarcerating the people of brown and black skin colors in these prisons at astronomical numbers. Because if you look back at the 60s, you had probably a mass incarceration of maybe 60 to 70,000 people of color. And that mushroomed from like 1967 to 1968 all the way up until 2019. We are now at a mass incarceration of black and brown people, well over 1.5 million people incarcerated for minor drug charges, which is now legal in the state of Illinois when we talk about CBD. So I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. Then, same college you and I went to, Roz, we can see where they finally named a road after Sandra Bland, who was stopped by the police, where she ended up committing suicide. They put a sign up in Prairie View on the main road to name her for the indiscretion in which the police exercised against her and allowed her to die in a police jail in Waller County. So that's another thing that the activists did from the Black Girl Matters movement. One of the other things that came out, and I'm just going through this list pretty quick, activists launched the Campaign Zero to help combat police violence. This is why there's such a uproar about it. Now, recently here in Chicago, this happened a couple of years ago, but now it's just now making major news here in Chicago. There's this woman who's a social worker here in Chicago, and police come in with a warrant, and they strip her down, strip this woman of all her female dignity, handcuff her, and she's telling them, "You got the wrong place," and they just berate her.
She was in her home.
In her
and she
home.
didn't have any clothes on, which
she just took a shower. Took a shower. So she just took a shower. And now, everybody's got their hands up in the air, like, what do we do? What do we do? We keep having these situations happen. So I'm of the belief, why are you all continually allowing these judges to give these or issue these warrants, and then the police execute them wrongly? And then you got the police union president talking about, I'm gonna defend my people to the end.
Right. He did.
I'm gonna defend my people to the end.
But hold on.
Go ahead, Chris.
Hold on. Let's be clear about some things. Now, I agree with you all the way, but our mayor, which is a black woman, knew about this.
She lied.
And lied about it.
Oh, I was going there.
And then she's starting to play the cry role. She knew this happened before her watch, but she knew about it, and she campaigned on the thing of police reform. Instead of attacking the problem when she came in there, she let it get all the way and let the city fight it all the way to keep it out of thing. So come on now, wait a minute. Now that's
No, but I'm not excusing. I'm just looking at the fact that, okay, we still got the issue of what happened to this woman. And you got the police union telling them that they need to be defended because they were right, because they were just following directions. That reminds me so much of when you watch the movie A Few Good Men. Those boys were not convicted because they were following the order of what's the name's character, who was the general. They went to they were kicked out of the military because of the fact that they didn't honor a code, which means they should have defended their fellow colleagues just like they would have defended this country.
But I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And what the police, we know the police union in Chicago has been racist. We know what happened, but we elected you on the business. Let's stick to this cause. She came in there on what agenda? She came in
police
there.
Reform. You got that right.
She came in there. Now you come in the door and you know this ain't just no new case. You knew what was going on. Why you didn't make a stamp right then and there and make your mark right there? Because that was the time when you had a chance to make some changes then and there.
Right, but she claimed she didn't look at her email. Now, Mark, being in a political office or any office, you got to look at your email.
You got to look at your emails.
She lied.
You got to look at your email.
She lied, but you got to remember that who put her in there? Rahm Emanuel put her there because he couldn't get there. So the thing is, and I don't care who they put in office, somebody gonna sit there and they gonna lie to the American people, and they're not gonna let this stuff get out because they know for a fact if she had let this out in February, she would have been okay. But you wait, a whole year. You know, but
she waited a whole year, and she along with they say the city law department fought. It was CBS that kept putting. She fought to keep that.
Sure did.
She did. It wasn't. She fought to keep it out.
Right, because CBS called the FOI on them.
Yeah. Now she cried. Now she got this little boohoo cry. Ain't no boohoo cry for that woman. You boohoo crying because you might be on your way by the office. This is what that's all about.
Because you didn't even learn anything from your predecessor. You didn't learn anything from him. That he got out of there because he held that video. He paid those people. He knew it was a crime. So the thing is, you're not gonna, even when they put a person in there, they're gonna just be a figurehead. That's all she is a figurehead. And she can't really make a lot of decisions. That's why she's sitting there because she can't make no decisions because the body is not gonna allow her to make a decision.
But hear this out. They can do something. Dick Gregory, I keep saying it over and over and over again, and it comes to each municipality. Dick Gregory came up with the perfect example on how to stop this. Yeah. He said, listen, if you license and insure the police and give them something that they're going to lose, you cut all this stuff out. And it comes to each municipality for what they're going to do. So Chicago is a corrupt town, and Elder, we know it's a corrupt town. We got crooked white police, crooked black politicians, crooked white politicians. They are not going to let because it's going to cost some money. They're all
and this is the reason I bring that point up, because we're talking about the fact that based on the birth of Black Girl Magic, this is one of those things that issues have come up, and it's not just in Chicago, it's nationwide. And because it's nationwide, all these police departments are under serious scrutiny. So I asked the question, is it about the money or is it about justice? Because we've been talking about this for the past few months, even during the election. Is this about money or is this about justice?
It's about money. It's about money. It's all been about money.
So what's the real solution here? Because if we're talking about it's about money, money is not the solution to all problems or ills.
No, it's not.
Money at a problem, but then it still won't solve it.
But if you gave a police officer more to lose,
I agree.
If you gave him more to lose, I guarantee he'll go out there and perform his job accordingly. If he didn't want he didn't want to lose his family and his livelihood. and things of that nature, and if you get them licensed and bonded, like he said, it'll stop. But long as they can make money off of us, they make money from birth to grave on us, from birth to grave. You hear me? And
Absolutely.
this is how they do it. When you're born in this world, you sign that birth certificate. You are the Queen Elizabeth's property. That's all to it. She, when you sign that birth certificate, you get so much money for that, a signed birth certificate. My niece refused to sign her child's birth certificate. You know, he's 4 years old and they still keep calling her about signing his birth certificate.
And I'll show you. I'm glad you said. I'm gonna show you something else. We'll go deeper than that. All these COVID-19 deaths, all of them in COVID-19 deaths.
All make no difference.
Some of these deaf people going to have a heart attack, like Reverend Skinner. Reverend Skinner's brother had a heart attack. They classified it as COVID-19 because they get money for it. It's all about money.
About money.
The United States is a capitalistic society. They don't care nothing about money. They've been making money. They made money off of us. They try to make money off India. They're about money.
Right. Pence and his wife just got that COVID shot. Who to say it's not a placebo?
Well, let's go back to when you say him taking the vaccine shot, and then they just release and did the approval for the emergency use authorization for the Moderna.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's all promotion,
right?
And then in January, Johnson & Johnson comes out with a new shot. So it's all about, because right now this country losing money. So if I can get half these people back to work, put stuff halfway back to normal, they don't care whether it works or not. It's about money here. And that's what we have to understand, money and how money works. When we understand money and how money works and get our part of this money, it's all right. That's what it's all about, money. It ain't about, I agree with you about what's happening with them, but it's about money. Money.
It's all about money. I guarantee you, because if you look at what they said when you take this shot, any severe side effects, you cannot sue. You cannot. There's no way you can sue. But I remember I told you that whenever they put something out, they set up an insurance fund for you just in case it don't work the way they said it was going to work. So what they did was they set out a side where they do have a fund where they will pay you $50,000 a year, so you can't sue. So if you look at this thing, I was reading that thing and it was just saying about suing. You can't, if once you take that coronavirus, that vaccination, you cannot sue them. Whatever happened to you, happened to you. They have immunity. Pfizer, all of them have immunity from suits. So if both your eyes start crossing up, or your heart to palpitate or do whatever, one finger fall off, that's on you, because you agreed to take that vaccination. So now, not only that, they're immune from prosecution or any suits. And then they saying that now you're gonna lose your job if you don't get vaccinated. You got to show them that you are Muslim or some type of religion that don't believe in vaccination. If you don't show them that, you cannot work. You cannot go to work. We can fire you. Now, the only people that can refuse it is unionized people. If you're unionized, you have to go through the union to vaccinate them.
That's it.
Yvette, I heard a different take on that. My take on that was this.
Let me bring up one more point.
Okay.
I'll let you go right there. Let's go back to the lady who, I'm going to say about money. Let's go back to the lady who the police kicked the door and all that. Now, from what I understand, I'm going to show you how money works. It's been 2 years. She had a little black lawyer. She got a little Jew lawyer now, because she finna get paid. She finna get paid beyond all that. She know it. She know it's about money, man. It's all about, and I ain't hating them. They did her wrong, and they're gonna pay for what they did.
Mm-hmm. And guess who's gonna pay? We gonna pay the taxes.
We gonna pay the tax.
Yeah.
Well, she gonna get her justice, all right. She gonna get so much money, she ain't gonna have to never worry about that happening again.
But you know, that's why I raised that question, because is it about money or is it about justice? Because if we out here, and trust me, if we talking about justice, you're telling me that we're marching for all the wrong reasons then, because we should be talking about more money, more peace.
Well, let me ask
Instead
you
of
this
no
question.
justice, no peace, because that sounds like what you're telling me we should be doing. But
well, let me ask you this one question real quick. When Laquan McDonald died, in that middle of that thing, the city hurry up and paid his family off. Am I right or wrong? And they didn't say nothing. Say you don't say nothing. It was that young black reporter who opened it up. The family, we took that little money. Now they could have held off and had the justice and more money. But you know what? Like they always do, they put that little carrot. Man, I'm taking this money.
Yeah. But let me tell you about something that was interesting. And this is Jamal Green, who had run for mayor, a young guy that you were talking about when we talk about looking for young people that could be
right.
So just before I came on here today, I was looking at Facebook and I happened to see him on Facebook Live. And there's this car wash on 83rd and Halsted. It's owned by Middle Eastern people. And when we talk about this, he goes there with the intent of getting his car washed. But he looks at the grounds around this car wash and he's like, how is this happening in our community? Which he is saying, how is it that they can operate in these communities and there's trash all around the car wash? So when he confronts the guy who says he's the owner, he asked the guy, man, how can you do this in our communities? You got a business here, and if you were in any other community, there would not be trash that looked like had come out of those vacuums that's sitting all on the street around the car wash, along 83rd, all the way along that fence line, and all the way down the fence line on Halsted going north and south, and then going east and west on 83rd. And he's asking him about this. So the guy's like, I don't have to answer your question. And he goes to try to take his phone out of his hand because he's recording it. And he's like, no, you're not going to do that. So I'm just waiting for the follow-up on that because I thought that was an interesting point that he was out there and he spotted this. And we don't demand this from, I mean, every other community could demand that this be done. And if you operate in a business in that community, that property be maintained as if they live there. We don't demand that. And I think it was fair for him to ask that and put that demand on this person. But now it's a public thing. And I think we need to expose that particular thing because it happens in our neighborhood. Then another place, and then I think it was one of the other comments that somebody had commented on there. They say even on 86 and Stony Island at their car wash, there's one that's similar like this. They don't live in the community. They from the Middle East, and I'm not talking about them just because they're Middle Eastern. I'm talking about the fact that they operate businesses in our communities, and they take the money, but they don't take care of the business and the grounds around the community. We want our communities to look like the communities that if you had to come to us as the last resort, and then you're able to make money in our communities, and then you go and mess up our community, and then when it's time for us to need you to provide some leadership from your commerce, you're not to be seen. We seen a perfect example of that back in May when the looting took place. So what I'm asking, just like Jamal is asking, if we're talking about justice and Black Girl Magic has exposed a lot of these type of activities, we're talking about what do you do to hold these people to an account? Do you just sit by and just drive by or walk by it every day and just let it continually happen?
Well, let answer this question. If you go up on the north side, when something like that happens, what do they do?
That's my point exactly. What should we be doing? I'm asking the question, when do we muster up enough courage to hold people to an account and say, we're not going to take this in our communities no more? You might have brought this piece of commerce into the community, but we're not going to allow you to operate the way you've been operating in our community. And I'm not just talking about in Chicago. I'm talking about throughout this country.
That's why I say our mindset has got to change. He brought an interesting point. Why the guy is allowing it to happen? Now, it's out there now. The problem is now let's wait and see what the community going to do. Are they going to raise up and get behind him? Or are they going to say, like they normally do, oh, man, that's just how they are. If we're doing that, then we are our worst enemy.
But I'm of the firm opinion. Now, us in this conversation, and those that are watching us right now, we could go out there and hold these people to an account right now. We could stop spending our dollars there, but then we should also hold them to an account and give them some brushes and some brooms and some shovels and have them clean that mess up. Because
Let me give you.
every time
Let me give
somebody
you.
clean,
Let me give you.
every time we go into communities and people come into our communities like that, we always the ones that go out there with a shovel and a broom and we clean up. But it's not our responsibility to always do that. It's a civic responsibility of the person who's operating their business in that community.
But let me give you another example. Same thing, same area on 83rd, and you know where that nail shop was at, where they were protesting about. We sat out there. We did a good job. They were out there protesting, raising all kind of sand, everything else. Couple of sisters went in there still getting their nails done. Man, I ain't thinking about them. We did it for a minute, and it slowed down. You go back over there now. Guess what? The same owners over there. We back in the nail shop. We should have shut that business down. That should have been shut down. But you know what? No, we ain't doing that. I ain't getting involved like that. No. We do it one good time, and they let it shut it down. We got to stand up and keep on. When they got business like that, when that guy over at the nail shop treated that girl like that, we should have had that business shut down.
And I agree.
I agree.
Because it's irresponsible of us to talk about the problem and don't address the solution. Because I hate to think that we get on here every week and talk about these issues and don't address the solution. And I think the solution is we have to be more outspoken, more vocal, and more proactive in terms of holding these people to an account. It's easy for us to go over there with a broom and a shovel and clean it up for them, but that doesn't hold them to an account. We're taking the responsibilities for their actions. So we need to hold them to an account and put the broom and the shovel in their hand and let them clean up their own mess. Now, in the case of the looting and the rioting that took place, it became a community resolve where we had to do this, because if we expected these businesses to maintain and stay in our community, then we needed to do that. But then the other side of that is that we need to go ahead and create our own. That way we can sit here and say, well, this happened. And just like the Phoenix, we always rise from the ashes. So you might burn our stuff down, but we're coming back. You get that happening with like the Jewels and the Walgreens that it happened to, and the Targets and the Walmarts. They weren't willing to come back always. We had to go almost to the point of groveling on our knees to ask them to come back into our community. I would be remiss to say that I felt good that they came back to the community, especially considering we had the bed where we could easily have taken that $1.7 to $1.8 trillion spending that we do every year in all these businesses and invested in Black businesses.
Or better yet, just like when Walmart messed up, why we not asking Walmart? I know they're owned by a family. Why can't we have a friend? Why don't we own the 83rd Street Walmart?
And that's the other question. Why can't it be a franchise?
People are going to Walmart and shop. You're not gonna stop them. But why I can't own a Walmart? Why I can't own that Home Depot sitting on 83rd Street? Why I can't have a franchise in there? That's the question we need to be asking.
So as a solution, and like we said, we talk about the problem. The solution is this: we start our own.
Right.
And I know this sounds so radical, but we gotta divest from that particular mindset of saying we gotta support this or buy a franchise from them. We don't need a franchise. We just need, like what they're doing with these PPP loans. There was this controversy that they have about Joel Osteen getting some millions of dollars from the PPP loans. How true it is? What is a church that size, which is a mega church? What do they need with the PPP loan? Because I had to ask Roz, but Roz, what is the Joel Osteen Church do in Houston outside the four walls that they needed the PPP loan?
Well, they have a lot of people that work there. I don't know.
They pay salaries, but I'm talking about in the communities. Let's make it really, really simple. Let's go over to the University of Houston, which is in the middle of the ghetto, 5th Ward, Houston, Texas. And we're talking about what monies could be invested in 5th Ward of Houston, Texas.
You know what? I can tell you one thing that they did do back when this has been a while back. But remember when all the stuff went down with Katrina?
Yeah.
At the church, we were housing a lot of people. Like, we were housing people. They gave us a check. I'm pretty sure, if I recall, they gave us a check for like $15,000 or $20,000 to help with that effort. Now that's one thing I can say that they did. But that was when I think the old man was pastored in. It wasn't
Right.
It wasn't the new. That was the old, the old man. So,
But remember, there was this issue about them even housing them at the church. They say, well, no, they can go over.
at
that time they hadn't even completely torn down the Astrodome yet, had they?
You know, at the summit.
Yeah, yeah, I'm at the summit.
Yeah, you know, but they're still they remodeled it.
Right.
And you're talking about for Harvey?
Yeah. After Harvey.
Yeah,
they were housing those individuals that were affected by that hurricane.
Yeah, well they got into some controversy because they didn't let people in to come there for when Harvey happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he wouldn't let a lot of people in at that time.
Right.
That's definitely.
But let me go back to something that's on me, and we talk about how to get our people out of, like you said, get more businesses. How do we, if we're going to divest from them, how do we get African Americans to shop in their own business? I don't know if you remember Errol Lumber. Errol Lumber was an African American company. It was a hardware store just like anybody else. Why did we didn't go there and shop there?
I'm telling you, that was one of the places I used to always go.
Yeah,
even though I wasn't a carpenter or a tradesman, but I think I built about 3 porches using lumber from Errol.
But what I'm telling you,
and the funny thing about it, I own a Pontiac Sunbird at that time, so I loaded wood in the back of a Pontiac Sunbird to build 3 porches. So you know how many trips I had to make to do it, but I supported that business.
What I'm saying is, why is it that we're not supporting it? Why is he left the business? We got one black Ford dealership. It's out there in Matson. Why are we not supporting him? The question of it is, like I tell you all the time, we are the biggest consumers, but we don't support our own. So the mindset has got to change. If we're gonna divest, we got to teach our own to support our own. If you go down to Chinatown, I used to work at 24 Wentworth. They support their businesses like it ain't nothing. If he buy a little fish, he ain't going to Walmart. He gonna go down there and buy that fish and pay $3. They all come out a certain time. They support everything down there, and then they come back and have a wig shop in our community and take that money back down to us. Well, if we take that same mindset, we can do the same thing. But first of all, what they know how to do is support their own. We gotta learn to support our own stuff.
Man, and I wish I had done this early on, right after college in 1887. I've been a Citibank customer since 1987. My experience with you too, but my experience with Citibank this past year blew my mind. My account was breached, so I went into 3 different Citibank branches to help resolve this issue. Now, of the 3 branches I went to, 2 of them were in the African American community, and 1 was in Chinatown. This is where my issue comes in with supporting Citibank and how they treat their customers. I'm in Chinatown. Now, I got an issue where my account has been breached, and all I'm trying to do is reestablish my account. 2 things happened, or I should say didn't happen, that should have happened. 1, they should have been able to just let me continue with the checking account with the same check numbers instead of starting me back at 101. 2, I got rushed out of there because they say they had an appointment with a big commercial person that they were trying to close the loan out with. They literally rushed me out. I wrote a letter back to Citi. They apologized. They offering all these incentives for me to stay with them and this, that, and the other thing. But it did not serve as reparation for how I was treated. 1, because it was a simple request. Just give me my check numbers, but with the new account number from the sequence that I had already started. Now, I've been there since 1987.
Right.
And now you want me to go back to check 101. What does that say? Then I go in, and while I'm there, you put me out the bank, literally, because you got a commercial loan that you're trying to close out with another customer that comes in at the same time that I come in with my issue. Their issue became more important than mine, or at least I should say their concern became more important than my issue. So we have to be careful how we let people treat us, and we can't let it go and just brush it off as, well, it's just a part of doing business. It's not a part of doing business.
Come back to the point. Always to the point of this. Okay, they treat you like that, then take your money and go somewhere else. Just like Yvette's church. He started a black bank. He couldn't get us to support our own business. Seaway. The white folks had to buy out Seaway. Independent. There is no black bank no more. So if you don't support your stuff, and we always going over somebody else's stuff, that's what I'm trying to get us to do. Let's take care of us. That's my main thing. Take care of us. It should be a black bank in our community. Well, absolutely. Every black person should have an account, even if it's $100 account in. When you start doing that, then you start showing, they start respecting you. Money respects money.
Now, I don't disagree. I'm just making the point that it should be a point that we cannot no longer tolerate this insubordination of us as a people. We've been treated
so my question is, how do you solve it? If they're going to keep on doing it, how do you said
simple solution, and I got it for you.
You said
it's time to divest. It's simple.
You said to divest and get your own. Okay, right. We are in agreement with you. But the question of it is, and this is what we need to work out, how do we get our people to support our own stuff? That's what we should be right there. I don't worry about white folks no more, because they're going to do what they want to do.
And you know what? It's funny you say that, because I was having this discussion with my wife one day, and we were listening to all the stuff that was happening in the news. And I said, and this is not me being racist. I didn't feel racist about it at all. I say, now, that's people with money problems. Those are people with money problems. Why are we concerning ourselves with people that got money problems? You sitting there, you think about this. You hear these people talking about, well, how much money is such and such going to get from this divorce decree? And I'm like, that's people with money problems. Because if you look at a sister and a brother and they get ready to go do a divorce, one of the two of them are going to say, oh, you just take it all. I just rather start over than have to go through this drama I'm about to go through. But they sit there, they will fight tooth and nail for it. I say, when I say divest, I mean, it's literally, I think we need to divest. And we got some trusted businesses that we can invest our monies in. We got some banks that we could probably start. We got some hospitals, because we still talk about this Mercy situation here. And just recently, the health board kind of shut it down and say, hey, wait a minute, y'all need to kind of rethink this, because we need to know why y'all want to close Mercy down and then don't leave nothing in its place. So we want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Yvette, you got something to say? I see.
You know, they didn't care. They didn't care about they don't care about our healthcare needs at all. So they closed that down just like that. And they didn't even ask us, didn't have no board meeting, they didn't have anything. They just closed that hospital down. And they thought they was gonna get that that Olympics.
The Olympics.
Mm-hmm. And now they getting ready to close Jackson Park, South Chicago, and they create one hospital in this area. So, and they didn't tell us anything about it. I've learned about this past summer when I went to a health summit at University of Chicago, because they was having a health summit about us not trusting the medical community, because of we distrust them so much, and because of our past history with them, and some of the history that they've done to us we don't even know about, probably still, and we only know about that because of social media. And the thing is, they had on TV about this today about four people that was trying to convince people to get the vaccination. So they had a 60-year-old black man, a 28-year-old Spanish, she was Mexican and Irish mix, and then one was Latino, and the other one was a white young lady. And they was just having all four of these people were speaking. All those four people cannot speak for their community. You know what I mean? So the thing is, there's going to be mistrust in the community. We're just so mistrusting. We're mistrusting we don't trust the banks. We don't trust the because you
Merchants,
you the merchant. We don't, because there's nothing in our community. I was riding in my community today. Me and my husband was riding around. We said we don't have anything in our community. You know, I mean, nothing. Everything we need, we have to go out to community. Even if we want to sit down and have a dinner, or if the restaurants were open, we still got to go to High Park. We call it downtown High Park. You hear me? Downtown High Park. And then it was like every time we go somewhere, we got to go to High Park.
And then you got to find
all beautiful land in South Shore. They just got it sitting dormant. And if you try to get any of it, if you call and price it, it's so priced out so bad. I mean, it's just horrible. Everything that every piece of land that I've priced is almost 500,000 or more.
Well, let me say this.
It's abandoned properties, and they want $500,000 for it.
But you got to think it's in the prime area. It's by the lake, or it's within walking distance of the lake.
But let me say this, two things. First of all, they just opened up some African American doctors just opened up a primary urgent care. You know that, right? They just opened up one. Now the question of it is, are we going to participate and go down there to them?
Where is it?
It's down. Where is it at? I'm just looking at it right now. But it's open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. They got a primary care. Black doctors just opened up one. They talked about it in Chicago.
But that's probably like the second one, because there was another one. Remember the one that's like on 98th, 99th and Halsted? That's one too. That's what Timothy.
I think that one is really good. I understand.
Yeah, that's another one too. So Rosalind, you had one that you sent me a clip from with the doctors.
Who, me?
No, Rosalind.
Oh, okay. I know they got one on 97th. That's the one right there on 97th. They have, you can go in there for dental care, eye care, and everything, and they go according to the amount of money you make. They'll
And see when we talk about diversity, letting it go, not just holding these people accountable. We need some land, and we need to start all over again, just like that families then in Georgia. They decided to create their own town. If you really want to talk about doing it, we got to do for ourselves. We cannot keep on depending on them and march and all that. If we do for ourselves, we got to create our own new Black Wall Street. We got to create our own new stuff. We can't just keep on. I can talk about them all day long and they'll throw us a bone. Y'all, here's a bone, just shut up. And then we get mad and march again. But if I got my own stuff, if I'm in my own city, I control the police. I control the mayor. I control what goes there. I ain't talking about no dump land. I'm talking about some good. This is what I'm talking about, reparation. Give me some good piece of property, some good land, some fertile land where I can do some things at.
But see,
Faircon talked about this years ago. He been talking about this year. This is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Right. And this is what I was getting ready to say. It's not a grand new idea, because Marcus Garvey talked about this, but he even talked about it to the point of where we had to just go back to Africa. And based on that whole notion, this is why Ghana is one of the most profitable countries in Africa right now, because of the fact that they have people of color who have invested in themselves. And this is what we're talking about doing. Now, let's ask this question, Chris. Out of all of us who just have retired within the last 5 years, if I was to ask each one of us to just give $100 a month, and we all channel it into this one investment group that talks about, let's start, for example, I'm big on just getting these hospitals back in our community. We do that for our communities. And let's take Roseland as our model hospital that we revitalize. No, I'm serious. This is a project.
No,
you gotta remember, we like the phoenix. We gotta rise from the ashes. So we gotta pick the worst, and we gotta
put your $100 back in the Black group with that urgent care and let them build a hospital. No, I ain't giving Roseland nothing. Not a damn. No.
I'm telling you, this is not about Roseland. This is about the hospital serving a community where it's becoming so blighted. We need to resurrect the life and the spirit of what that community used to represent. So I'm asking, you got to start somewhere, go, Chris. And this is what I'm talking about. And this is where we can't trust each other.
St. Bernard.
Okay, I'll even do that one. St. Bernard.
How about us buy back the first Black hospital? How about us buy Providence back?
Yeah, but Providence in Hyde Park. They gonna get that money when the Obama Museum comes in. I'm just talking about. I'm talking about communities that are not gonna get this kind of money.
I won't give Roseland a dime. because they done had so much mismanagement of money over there, like they not.
No, but we ain't talking about
when you do something like that, you're gonna replace people.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
You gonna if you do something like that, you're not gonna just you don't go we're gonna let the past go and we're gonna move forward. He said the past things are past, so we're gonna move forward. In order to move forward, we gotta let go what happened in the past, and we gotta move forward and try to claim those possessions that we want to claim and those blessings that God said we can do. We got to remember that we have to move forward in order to get to where we need to be. We got to let go what didn't happen or what didn't work in the past. Let's find ways that we can make something happen.
So if you giving money to Rosa, what's the stipulation that they get the money?
Is that they do what they're purposed for. Their purpose to right now.
Hand money over. We gotta before we hand that money over, we have to sit down and have a meeting and decide what we want and how we want to do and how we want to do with this before we start handing the money even over. You got to sit down and have a think tank. Let's what can we do to make a magnificent change in our community? You know, and if we give that money every month, what are we going to do to this community? What will it be? Who will it serve? You got who, what, when, and where, and why we're gonna do those things.
And the reason I picked Roseland is because over the last 40 years, you can say almost 75% of the kids that were born on the South Side were born in that hospital.
I'm born in Providence.
No, 40 years. No. I said you ain't 40. I'm talking about over the last 40 years.
No,
those kids.
Thank you, CJ.
I said 75%.
I was born on the West Side.
And trust me, I grew up on the South Side. I was born at St. Luke Presbyterian Hospital, which they no longer call
St. Luke.
But but I still say, I think Roseland, we need to take some money and invest in Roseland. We can create this board that Yvette was talking about, get the things in there we need, because we need triage in Roseland right now. We need triage somewhere where somebody could drive and get there in 5 minutes.
You don't even have to, if you don't even do donation, you can even do fundraisers. You can do fundraisers to create whatever you want to create. But you just gotta have a plan put together that's gonna work for the community, and just say that this is what it's gonna do. It's gonna help the community. We gotta get rid of what it did in the past and just move forward and just look straight ahead and say, okay, this is our mission. This is what we're gonna do, and let's move forward. And what happened in Roseland past is the past. Whoever stole, they ain't gonna steal no more. They ain't gonna steal on my watch.
Because I was going before you say something, Rod. And then before you finish your thought, tell us about Ben Taub and what Ben Taub represents to Houston too. After you finish your statement.
It's the #1 trauma hospital, probably in the whole country, right? And it's Ben Taub is in a rough area, but it is a tremendous trauma hospital. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, when there's a police shooting, that's where they go, because that's the place where you go for trauma. Although we have other hospitals. But I was gonna mention, Chris and Yvette, you were talking about land. Have you guys ever considered forming a land trust?
Mm.
Because what it is you form a nonprofit, and then the nonprofit enters into a land trust, and you have a board of governance, and you decide what you're going to do with the property. But there's some really good models in Atlanta. When I went to so I'm working green building and sustainability, so we had our conference in Atlanta last year in November. Of course, this is before COVID even was talked about. Right. So we, some of the people who did land trusts in Atlanta, they spoke at the conference, and boy, they had some, and some of these were Black, right? Mm-hmm. So they have a whole system down there of land trusts, and what they do is they use that to develop it for low income housing, right? So look into land trusts, because that's one way you can You know, yeah, one person buying $500,000, is a lot. But if it's, and I think there are certain tax benefits and stuff like that for the trust, and no one person owns it, right? So the board would have to make a decision about what to do with it or how to develop it or whatever. So um, find yourself a black commercial. Y'all got some. I know y'all got some lawyers that handle commercial real estate. Talk to one of them because they're the ones who would tell you like how hard it is to set it up or how easy or whatever, and do it that way. As far as purchasing that hospital, I don't think that's a bad idea. Um, and like you said, you come in and you take it over. So you determine the board, and I'm assuming that it's a nonprofit, right?
Not a profit hospital.
Right.
And then you set up your own board, and then from your board you can hire your own hospital administrator. You can, and you can do all the things that you need to do. It and I wanted to say this really, and this is for everybody. When we talk about setting up businesses and setting up banks and all of that, one thing we have to get in our minds is we have to take away all the metrics of success for what the other people are doing. Like,
Yeah.
what success looks like for us will be different. We have to change the way, the way we look at the metrics, right? And I think a lot of times people think, oh, you in business, oh, but you ain't making, but your business ain't making but $500,000 a year, and you got, you know, 5 employees, or 7 employees or 10 employees. Y'all not making that much. You can't compare yourself because remember those people have, certain advantages, right? They have access to capital and they have access to other resources. So that's the other thing. I think we have to look and change what the definition of success is to us, and then build from there. And it's not going to look the same. I mean, and the same thing with us as individuals. Um,
Got to
you know,
interrupt you, Roz. We got
mhm.
breaking news. Congress just passed the $600 stimulus
Oh
payment.
wow.
Okay, back to
Okay.
regular programming.
Yeah.
Okay, that means I'm gonna pay taxes.
Yeah, well, that's all that means. You go pay more taxes. That's all.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's the thing is to really, it's like starting with a clean slate, right? You know, you have to your definition of success and all of that has to be redone,
Absolutely.
reformed. And I think and if we so there's a black bank in my neighborhood. It's called Unity, and I now you have convicted me, so I need a I probably need a new savings account. So I'm gonna go over there and see about setting up a savings account. Now get this,
Do
my
it, Roz.
son, but get this, my son has an account there. He made it a point because he believes in reparations, right? And he
Smart man.
yeah, he talks about being ADOS, right? Um, and I'm sure you guys may be familiar with that term. What does it mean to be ADOS, right? To be an American descendant of slavery. Um, and so that distinguishes you as, like as a black person, right? But so because of that, he has an account there, so now like I need to be following him and setting up at least a savings account there. So now you have convicted me, so now I'm gonna have to go and take care of that. But like I said, whatever, if you can buy, your success looks different. So, if you can get together, get the community, and it have to be a community-wide effort. That's the thing, right? It has to be because it's rare that you find one person that has enough capital to, to take on something like that. But with us, with a I don't know, what do you call it? I don't know if y'all do CDCs there, or nonprofits there. You can do that. You can do it, but it requires commitment, and it requires people to be
Look at
focused on
the
the goal,
work.
to be focused on that goal.
Yeah.
Goal.
Yeah.
And I know you can do it. But I
Yeah.
mean, think about it. I mean, one of the things about having a hospital, or having, you know, you can really focus on health, right? As opposed to, this, what I call this, high tech medicine. Here in Houston, because we have the medical center, we have a lot of high tech medicine, right? I mean, and it's good. It's good. I mean, we have MD Anderson, which is like the top cancer hospital in the whole world.
Mhm.
We've got all of this stuff here. But wouldn't it be nice to develop health and wellness so that before you even get to that point, right, that you need all of this high tech stuff,
Correct.
that you can at least, get people into the mindset of health. And see, all of that, and that's just not going to be medicine. That's going to be like food. That's going to be housing, because all of that plays health. And so, if so as opposed, if you take over that hospital, you would have a different focus, right? So, you'd have some doctors, some nurses, but you'd also have more, maybe more social workers, and more psychologists, and psychiatrists, right? Because you're focused on keeping people healthy, and more nutritionists, and it's so funny how once you start doing one thing, that all these other things start sprouting up around you. I mean, do you guys have community gardens? Do you have community gardens?
We have one.
Okay.
Yeah, they do now. They're popping up
So
all over the place. Yeah.
okay, so
In
where I
fact,
live,
yeah, Saint Sabina has one. We have
okay, so where I live, we have two that are sort of near me. One, Texas Southern University, and the other one, the Alabama Gardens, which is just a block long of, believe it or not, is collaborative land. So, you come in there and you rent a spot, right? You rent your spot, and then and most of it's older Black people, and they all have their little spot, and you should go in there and see how much they grow. I mean, it's amazing
Yes.
how much they grow there. And the thing of it is that, how does that, what do they do with it? Are they, are they selling it? Or, in other words, how do we get it um, in the hands of the people? So maybe the hospital becomes a distribution point for, for not just medicine, but also, fresh vegetables.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is you're only limited by your imagination, right? Because, like you said, well, we don't have resources. You know what? You'll figure out a way. You'll figure out a way. If it starts off slow, and that's why I say you got to change your whole, what success looks like to you, because it's going to be completely different for you than, St. Joseph's Hospital over there, and in wherever. I'm just making up a name, but it's gonna be different than what's out in North, out in Evanston and all of that. But what is success to you? And you got to like almost put on blinders, right? And say, okay, if we can keep, you know, if we can control diabetes in 50 people this year,
Yeah.
and that keep that's that lowers the stress on your system, right? Because it's a lot of resources used to deal with that, and then running back and forth to the hospital, and and then it becomes expensive for people. The thing that you tell people is, in sustainability, because there are many aspects. So agriculture, right? People to eat organic, if not organic vegetables that have been sustainably grown. So, the first thing people say is, yeah, but that's so expensive, right? It's so expensive. Well, guess what? Either you gonna pay now or you gonna pay later.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So how do you, you say y'all have community gardens. Okay, so how do we, pool all those, resources together such that it makes it at least affordable for people? So if I want to buy fresh greens, right now it's the winter, and I don't know, but y'all have different growing seasons. But
Right.
here, we're still our weather is still mild enough. We're growing greens. You're able to grow greens and spinach. So you take all of that and put it in your hospital that you want to take over or whatever, and then you have a market. So you know, and people might say, oh, or ooh, look at them doing all of that. But no, that's what health is all about.
But that's what's happening now. We're creating these urban gardens right
Hmm.
now, and people are starting to go toward that because, I mean, I serve and Chris serves in food pantries throughout the week. Now ours is now shipped in, and we just had a dilemma last week where we had to cancel the food giveaway because of the truck broke down. But the weeks when we got it, people line up, and this is approximately at least a 6 block radius from the church, and we're giving away about 500 crates of food, and people coming. This thing is, if you don't believe in the pandemic, you think about your pocketbook and when you have to go line up and get in line for food. I just love to see the smiles that on people's face when they get some food, and they inquire, when is the next time you all here? And it's like, oh, we do this every week. We do this every week. Chris can
And
testify to the joy people have at the Lighthouse Church out there in Alsip, that people have when they get these donations of
Yeah.
love. And I'm not gonna call it just charity, because it's a donation of love. If
it is. It's
I,
love. That's what it
yeah,
is.
because if the pastors of these churches that we belong to did not love these people, they
Yeah.
wouldn't have put so much effort forward to have people go to the
And you
extent
know
that they
what?
do.
And you know what? You can start before you even, it's like to get the hospital. Well, you have that in mind, but you start even before that. You're gonna, if you put your mind to it, you're gonna take over that hospital. That's just a matter of time. But like with the vegetables and the food, the one thing is, the thing about fresh food is perishable, right?
Mhm.
You
Right.
know, we were talking about, coming from the country. Like a lot of times people don't know how to preserve food anymore,
Yeah.
right? So if you get a whole bunch of tomatoes, you know what you can do? You can stew them.
Mhm.
You can put them in jars and pull them out when you need them. You know what I'm saying? And so, but things like that teach people, those are fundamental things, and we've gotten away from that, right? Everything is so high tech, and so, and you're doing all of this up here, but here's a job down here in plumbing, you know, that needs to be done. And
You're big on this plumbing thing now.
plumbing, electrical work,
Yep.
any kind of building, you know what I'm saying? Any kind of landscaping, all of that, all those things. I think like I said, that's why you're what looks like success to you.
I am so passionate about this hospital thing.
Yeah, but so it
It's
looks like, so
beyond
that's what I'm saying.
measure.
You
But
have to
but
define your
but
success. You
let
have
me
to
let
define.
me let me ask a question about the hospital thing. What are you trying to do? Are you going to take over the ownership of the hospital? Are you sending money to help build a house? What are you trying to do
No,
about
it's beyond just giving the money and me having my name even associated with it. It's more about just restoring health care in our communities. And I think it's important from the standpoint of, you talk about Roseland. Roseland is one of these communities where well, technically, if you look at the whole South Side, we need a trauma unit on the South Side.
Wow. Yep.
Everybody can't just get over to Cottage Grove and the University of Illinois all the time. Or you can't always get all the way over to Christ right when it happens, and you live like on 130th and Ellis. Come on, realistically, closest hospital to us now is Rosa, and it sits right in the city, and it sits between two expressways, I-57 and I-94. If you talk about getting somebody somewhere safely and efficiently, those are the places, because you got two thoroughfares. Then when you get to the street that the hospital sits on, it sits on a thoroughfare, which is a main street, which is 111th Street. Come on, let's think about it. Logistically, this is the perfect place for a triage hospital. But when you talk about a triage hospital like the University of Illinois, you know, you gotta go through some neighborhoods to get there.
Yeah.
You know, and the closest thoroughfare is.
I agree with you 100%. You need to do that, but I can't do the Rosa thing. I'm trying to be out of that one. And you pick another one.
I'm gonna stay with you on this because I just firmly believe.
You got to wear them down.
Yeah, exactly. I am a firm believer.
I can't do Rosa. I can't.
Chris, you know where you
and I'm gonna say the reason, and part of it is like Yvette, let the past go. When I was at Salem, Reverend Meeks put a whole lot of money. We raised a lot of money and put in Rosa, a whole lot of money, and I just can't see putting something in something that they do nothing with, unless we own it. Now, if you own it and you changing leadership and all that, then maybe I can do it. But if you're not doing that, I can't do it.
But that's what we're doing. When you create your own, when you create your own board and you invest in your dollars, you have a right to say what your expectations are. We can change a whole administration just based on that alone. And then people with the mindsets that this is what's going to happen. Because let's just say, for example, Chris, when I was diagnosed with diabetes a couple of years ago, type 2 diabetes, the whole time I'm in the hospital, on my deathbed, about to die. And the nurses and doctors would come into the room. They always talk about how fortunate I was to be alive. But I was like, I tell you what, I won't be like this forever because I'm willing myself well. And they was like, well, what does that mean? I said, just trust me, I'm going to will myself well. So you all got me all hyped up on this insulin and the prednisone and the amlodipine and metformin. But now look at me now. I only take one shot a week. One shot a week. And it's this thing called Ozempic. You take the shot every 7 days. And I take about 50 milligrams of that. And it's one shot every week. My blood sugars are like between 80 and 90 all day long now. My blood sugars have regulated. But before I even got to the point where I was telling them I was going to will myself well, I had one of the doctors and the nurses, well, one of the nurses that would call to check and see how I was doing since I was newly diagnosed with diabetes. We talked about this from the standpoint of, well, they got you on this stuff, and they didn't speak well of using those particular drugs because they work on your kidneys. Because just like Rosalind was just talking about, you have to go back and forth to the hospital, and it gets expensive going back and forth to the hospital. It gets expensive paying for those diabetes drugs. It gets expensive just having diabetes equipment, just as simple as a meter, and they give you the hardest time. But the one nurse says to me, she said, "Have you ever thought about?" And then this is where I touch on where Yvette talks about it a lot. Holistic treatment, alternative medicine, holistic treatment. All you got to do is just eat natural stuff and your body would heal itself. Natural stuff. So for anybody who's out there who's got diabetes or suffering high blood pressure, go back to what really worked. It's the natural products that God had already given you for your body. You eat those things and you diet the way you're supposed to and exercise. And the simplest thing that Yvette says, which makes a whole lot of sense in terms of you ridding yourself of high blood pressure and diabetes, when you get up in the morning, get that water in your body. Get those organs working. I like the way she says. So Yvette, you tell it best, you share it.
I just believe that a lot of things that you do to your body, it responds to water. Everybody take a conscious effort and go on and Google how much water it takes for your body to function daily, and the required amount of water. But if you took If you drink these, take 8 bottles and keep them with you all day, and make sure you drink one on every other hour. If you at least get half of it done on that 1 hour, each hour, every other hour, get you 8 ounces of water. You'll start seeing your lips will start getting moisture. Your skin won't be as brittle. You'll start seeing a lot of changes in your nails will start growing. Different things start working a lot better in your body. You be saying, okay, well, why is this working? Like I used to go to this doctor, and I used to get the what they call it when you do the little needles they put in there. I was having
Acupuncture.
I was having. He said the reason why it was hurting so bad is because I was dehydrated. But when I started getting enough water in me, I didn't even feel those pains no more. So the thing is, you got to hydrate your body and find out it's go according to your weight, your height, and your age. And this is the type of what this is about the water that you should be able to intake in your body daily, especially when you wake up in the morning. Get that at least 4 ounces of water in your intake before you even hit the shower, before you hit the tub. Take some water before you drink those things, and those get your organs going, because they kind of shut down your water. Your organs kind of shut down a little bit, and it gets it going. And try to eat less as possible at night. After 7 o'clock, try to drink liquids only, because now you go into a fast. Your body goes into a fast. Once you go to sleep at night, you should not eat anything until the next morning, because that's why they call it breakfast. You break your fast.
From the evangelist, she just put it out there. And then you were saying that, Yvette, I found this article on Helpline. And it says your body is about 60% water. So what they're saying, the body consistently loses water throughout the day, mostly through urine and sweat, but also it regulates the functions like your breathing. So to prevent dehydration, you need to get plenty of water from drink and food every day. There are many different options you can use on just how much water you should be drinking every day. Health experts commonly recommend 8 ounces glasses of water, which equals 2 liters or a half a gallon a day. This is called the 8x8 rule, which is very easy to remember. However, some experts believe that you should just sip water constantly throughout the day, even when you're not thirsty.
Right.
However, with most things, this depends on the individual. Most factors become both internal and external, and ultimately how it affects your how much water your body needs. And then finally, this article says it takes a look at the inset, and then it goes into a whole detailed thing. So this is what I'm looking at right here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I got to go because I got to be at the pantry tomorrow at 6 o'clock in the morning. So
okay.
And that's what I was gonna say, but I'm gonna get on out of here. But any closing thoughts, because I gotta go. We're giving away turkeys tomorrow.
Okay. Hey, all I say is let's plant our flag. We want to plant our flag. We want to create our like heaven on earth in this earth, and that's what we want to do. I want to plant my flag. I want to be able to speak light into people, speak words of encouragement. I want to be that black girl blessing, even though it's black girl magic. And I'm just gonna keep on putting one foot in front of another, and make sure I love on somebody tomorrow. Make sure I talk to somebody encouraging tomorrow, and make sure I let them see that there's hope, that they can change anything in their lives that they want to, health wise, wisdom wise, financial wise, just different things. I just want to help people and let them know that I made a mark on this life of helping people in any kind of way. So have a blessed day, everybody. Now,
All right, now. I'll be good.
Okay.
All right.
This guys, and then I'm out.
We're out of here. Bye-bye, everybody.
You guys are gone, but I'm going to play this on the way out. So you all be good, be blessed, and we'll see you Tuesday morning with Due Season.
It's Due Season. Okay.
It's Due Season.
God bless you all. God keep you all. And we're out.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Black Girl Magic. We'll see you next week. God bless you. God keep you.